Chapter 1106 Sorry, Brother Feng Sun. But, when young Lord Feng took Feng Wu's hand and announced in that overbearing manner that she was his sister and dared anyone who had a problem with it to say something, they swore they had butterflies in their stomachs. However, those teenage girls weren't the only ones here. There were also girls like Xian Yuaning, Zhuo Qingyu, and Du Yamo, who thought very highly of themselves. Zhuo Qingyu pursed her lips and mumbled, "I didn't know Feng Wu could pull that off. Feng Sun is so supportive of her." Xiaoying, forget it. Just let it drop. Feng Sun can be very scary. Xian Yuaning knew Feng Sun could be scary, but it was as Zhuo Qingyu had said, if she backed off now, she would lose face for good. She's the daughter of the Feng family. What's her relationship with Northern Feng Mansion? Xian Yuaning snorted, unconvinced. Feng Sun stared at Xian Yuaning with cold, cruel eyes and smiled wickedly. You got a problem with that? Of course I do. Xian Yuaning believed that she was safe in her own territory and was confident of her capability. Moreover, according to her mother, the Xianyuan family was going to propose a marriage contract with Lady Northern Feng, marrying her to young Lord Feng. Needless to say, Xian Yuaning couldn't agree with the idea more. After all, Feng Sun was an excellent teenager. However, he was protecting a girl that wasn't related to him by blood, not to mention that Xian Yuaning hated that girl. For that alone, Xian Yuaning would never allow this to pass. The sight of a spoiled daughter took hold and she flared up. Yes, I have a problem. Feng Sun, I'm warning you, if you still want the marriage between our families to happen, let go of her hand right now. What marriage? Everyone looked dumbfounded. Lady Kai wanted to smack her stupid daughter's head. The marriage proposal was still being discussed among the members of the Xianyuan family, and Northern Feng Mansion hadn't been informed yet. But not only had the girl revealed it in public, she even tried to threaten him with it. Lady Kai felt her head hurt. Feng Sun was even more dumbfounded. What marriage? Xian Yuaning smirked. The marriage between us. Feng Sun was so mad that he broke into laughter. What marriage between us? Are you dreaming? Xian Yuaning was astonished. The anger sent her into tears. Mother, he won't acknowledge it. Feng Sun was rendered speechless. Lady Kai didn't know what to do. To her surprise, Xian Yuaning charged at Feng Wu and tried to slap the latter. Feng Wu was lost in thought at that moment. She was feeling very guilty toward Feng Sun. She had only just tricked Feng Sun, and the next thing she knew, he was in front of her, as unwavering as a real brother and trying to protect her. Feng Wu clenched her fists. Sorry about this, brother Feng Sun. That was why when Xian Yuaning tried to slap Feng Wu, the latter didn't react in time, for her mind had wandered off. What happened next was quicker than words could describe. Pushing Feng Wu behind him, Feng Sun slapped Xian Yuaning hard with the back of his hand. Smack! It was loud and clear. Almost everyone opened their eyes wide in disbelief. He was in the Xianyuan family's territory. And Xian Yuaning was the favorite daughter of the family. And they were discussing marrying her to Feng Sun. This was such a humiliation to the Xianyuan family. Xian Yuaning wasn't the only one dumbfounded by the slap. The rest of the Xianyuan family all looked astonished as well. Xian Yuaning broke into tears right away. Lady Kai glared at Feng Sun. Young Lord Feng, what do you think you're doing? Chapter 1107 Aran, you worried that Jun Linyuan will kill you? Lady Kai wasn't the only one who was furious. The other members of the Xianyuan family were all giving him threatening looks, too. Xianyuan Yi even stepped forward and glared at Feng Sun. Young Lord Feng, you're out of line. Xianyuan Yi was Xianyuan Ying's brother, while Feng Sun was Feng Wu's. At that moment, the two brothers glowered at each other, a storm brewing in their eyes. Feng Sun looked like he was ready to kill. She was picking on my sister, she should have seen revenge coming. Xian Yuaning was so mad that she almost fainted. But in the end, this was the Xian Yuan family's territory, and a lot of the senior members of the family were here. Xian Yuaning had just been slapped in public, and naturally, someone was going to intervene. Such as Xian Yuanzhe, the next chief of the Xian Yuan clan and the father of Xian Yuaning and Xian Yuanyi. Xian Yuanzhe had a serious look on his face. Young Lord Feng, you should be more discreet, for the sake of the long-term friendship between our families. Young Lord Feng smirked. Huh? Master Xian Yuanzhe, what do you mean by discreet? Xian Yuanzhe frowned. You can go, but she has to stay. People of the Xian Yuan family had already surrounded the place. That was to say, they planned to take action against Feng Sun. Feng Sun found these people preposterous. As if humiliating his sister in public wasn't enough, before he was done avenging her, these people were threatening him. Nice job, Xian Yuan family. What if I say no? Feng Sun grinned. Xian Yuanzhe smiled maliciously. If that's the case, I'm afraid young Lord Feng will have to personally apologize to the Xian Yuan family. Feng Sun said, is that so? Enlighten me. What kind of apology are you asking for? Xian Yuanzhe said, that's easy. Slap yourself to make up for the humiliation you've given the Xian Yuan family. Xian Yuanzhe meant it. Feng Sun was so mad that he laughed. That was ridiculous. Just then, four masters in black of the Xian Yuan family appeared behind Feng Sun all of a sudden and took hold of his arms. Xian Yuanzhe smiled wickedly. Young Lord Feng, who's going to be slapped? You or your sister? This Xian Yuanzhe was so arrogant. Feng Sun narrowed his eyes in a threatening manner. No, Xian Yuanzhe had always been bold, but not this arrogant. For him to dare to humiliate Northern Feng Mansion like this now, Feng Sun wondered what had emboldened the guy. But Feng Sun couldn't figure it out no matter what. Xian Yuanzhe gave him a sinister grin. I see. Young Lord Feng is going to let your sister take it. I get it. Your face is much more precious. As he spoke, Xian Yuanzhe tipped Steward Yan, who was next to him, the wink. Steward Yan went up to Feng Wu and smiled wickedly at her. Sorry about this, Miss Feng Wu. After that, Steward Yan raised his arm. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes in an intimidating way. Did these people take her for a good-for-nothing? They thought they could abuse her verbally and physically just like this. Stop it. Feng Sun was flustered. Apart from being his sister, Feng Wu was also the girl Boss Jun was in love with. If Boss Jun knew. Feng Sun couldn't begin to imagine what would happen then. How dare you touch her? His Royal Highness will kill you. Feng Sun roared as he gritted his teeth. His Royal Highness? What did His Royal Highness have to do with this? Everyone gave Feng Sun strange looks. Doesn't His Royal Highness dislike Feng Wu the most? I heard that His Royal Highness only picked on Feng Wu in Imperial College. I also heard that. Chapter 1108 Is this girl even human? However, Steward Yan still raised his hand. Anyway, Feng Sun was the only one here who believed that Jun Linyuan would get angry for what happened to Feng Wu, let alone lash out at the Xian Yuan family. Before Steward Yan could do anything to Feng Wu, she smirked, then raised her hand and grabbed Steward Yan's palm. Whoosh! Everything happened so fast, and before they knew it, Feng Wu had twisted Steward Yan's arm. Ah! Steward Yan screamed like a pig being slaughtered. His shrill voice was through the roof. Everyone looked at Feng Wu in astonishment. This couldn't be happening. Steward Yan had been subdued. Isn't Feng Wu just a level 4 spiritual grandmaster? That's right. Some appraisal master evaluated her before and said she was a level 4 spiritual grandmaster at most. But then how did she stop Steward Yan? She broke his arm with one move. It wasn't just the onlookers, even Feng Sun was astonished. No one in the Xianyuan family and Zhuo family saw that coming. How could they not be shocked? Xiao Wu, you. Before Feng Sun could finish his sentence, Steward Yen came back to himself and thought he had underestimated the girl. In order not to lose face in front of his master, Steward Yen jumped up, suddenly took a dagger out of his sleeve, and slashed at Feng Wu's throat. It was so fast. And it was a move aimed at killing her. Xiao Wu, watch out. Blue veins popped on Feng Sun's forehead. But he was held down and couldn't move at all. Everyone only saw a flash. The blade of the dagger glinted, and then thud. The next second, Steward Yen's dagger slashed down at his own throat. Whoosh! Blood gushed out of the wound. Everyone opened their eyes wide and stared in disbelief. OMG! Feng Wu has. Steward Yen is. Feng Wu's initial outburst of strength had astonished them. Then, she cut Steward Yan's throat with one lethal strike. She shocked the others with both her capability and her determination. Xianyuan touched her throat involuntarily. That was so terrifying. If she had been the one trying to slap Feng Wu and had drawn a dagger on the latter, Xianyuan couldn't begin to imagine what would happen. How dare you? After coming back to herself, Xianyuan stared at Feng Wu in disbelief, and the rage in her eyes was like an erupting volcano. Feng Wu. How dare you do that? Hey, take the murderer down. By then, the others had time to react, too. Feng Wu was so quick. Is she really a level 4 spiritual grandmaster? Are you kidding me? From that outburst of her spiritual essence, she's a level 6 spiritual grandmaster at least. No, she's more than that. She can't be less than level 7. Why do I feel that she's a level 8? Everyone began to discuss it among themselves, but couldn't reach a conclusion. That was so. If Feng Wu was really as capable as they guessed, the speed of her progress was unbelievable. Everyone shook their heads, unwilling to believe it. Over on one side, Zhuo Qingyu and Zhuo Qinglu exchanged alarmed looks. That girl had risen again. Was that girl even human? We can't let her live anymore, Zhuo Qingyu said to Zhuo Qinglu in a lowered voice. Chapter 1109 The Fierce Lady Northern Feng. Zhuo Qinglu nodded discreetly. He was among those who had destroyed Feng Wu's ability. He knew that if that damn girl rose again, she would definitely take revenge. That was why Feng Wu had to die. Those of the Xianyuan family were the first to charge at Feng Wu. Xianyuan had been slapped by Feng Sun and Steward Yen had been killed by Feng Wu. Since they were still in the Xianyuan family's territory, of course the family would try to settle the score. Feng Wu could be a spiritual grandmaster at level 6, 7, or 8, it made no difference to these people. Kill her. Xianyuan gave the order. As the successor of the Xianyuan family, that was how arrogant he was. Instantly, 2 figures in black flew at Feng Wu like eagles with their wings spread out. They were about to send out lethal strikes. Stop! Someone arrived with rage like a tidal wave. And everyone turned to look. OMG. It was Lady Northern Feng. And she didn't come alone. The 18 Iron Knights in black were behind her. The 18 Iron Knights in black were the fiercest and most formidable guards of Northern Feng Mansion. Every single one of them was a powerful cultivator. All 18 of them were capable enough to be generals, yet they worked as nothing more than the guards of Northern Feng Mansion. More importantly, the 18 knights were a gift from Her Majesty the Empress Dowager and His Majesty the Emperor when Lady Northern Feng married Northern Feng General. When Lady Northern Feng went out, she would take at least 2 knights with her, and never more than 4. But now, she had brought all 18 of them here. Mother! Feng Sun was excited to see Lady Northern Feng. And he was reassured when he saw the 18 Iron Knights. Lady Northern Feng nodded at Feng Sun and Feng Wu, then turned her attention to Xianyuan. Rushing over to Xianyuan in a threatening manner, Lady Northern Feng shoved him in the chest. Master Xianyuan, how bold of you! Did you just try to kill my Xiao Wu? How dare you! Lady Northern Feng was known for her ferocity, and everyone in the imperial capital was aware of her irascible temper. As soon as she arrived, every member of the Xianyuan family felt a shadow over their heads. Poor Xianyuan Zhe, the father of Xianyuan Yi. He was caught off guard when the furious Lady Northern Feng shoved him, and he took a step back. Cough, cough, Xianyuan Zhe choked a little and started coughing. Next to him, Lady Kai was flustered. Master, are you all right? Lady Kai said anxiously. Putting a hand over his chest, Xianyuan Zhe waved. If a little push like that could hurt him, he would be useless. Seeing that her husband was unharmed, Lady Kai turned to glare at Lady Northern Feng. At the end of the day, this was an upper-crust party, and everyone was as courteous as noble men and women should be. However, Lady Northern Feng had assumed such an aggressive posture, as if she was going to denounce someone for their crimes. Lady Northern Feng, be civil. What you're doing is so inappropriate. Lady Kai found Lady Northern Feng's behavior unacceptable. Lady Northern Feng was furious. Did these people think she had no idea what the couple had done? She had already been informed on her way here. Lady Northern Feng shoved Lady Kai. Lady Kai was nowhere near as capable as Xianyuan Zhe, and at Lady Northern Feng's push, she fell back. Behind her was a row of wine shelves. Thump. No matter how quickly Lady Kai could dodge, she couldn't stop herself from crashing into the wine shelves. She fell to the ground along with broken wine bottles. Her clothes stuck to her back, drenched with wine, and her hair dripped with the sticky liquid. She looked a mess. Chapter 11:10 Lady Kai. Lady Kai thought she was going to lose her mind. God! She was a lady from a famous family and had never been humiliated like this before. After several people helped her to her feet, Lady Kai glared at Lady Northern Feng. You've crossed the line. With her hands on her waist, Lady Northern Feng acted all tough. You bullied my Xiao Wu. That's why I pushed you. What? You have a problem with that? She was so fierce. Everyone had held their breath since Lady Northern Feng showed up, and no one dared to intervene. Lady Kai wasn't alone. Next to her, Mrs. Zhou couldn't help but interject, Lady Northern Feng, don't you think you've crossed the line? With her hands on her waist, Lady Northern Feng threw a dirty look at Mrs. Zhou. Do you have a problem, then? Mrs. Zhou was speechless. All she did was murmur a little, and the woman turned on her. The Zhou family enjoyed a high status in the imperial capital, but deep down, Mrs. Zhou was still afraid of Lady Northern Feng. Gritting her teeth, she said, I do have a problem. You've done the wrong thing. Can't we point that out? Lady Northern Feng went up to Mrs. Zhou, grabbed the latter's hand, and dragged her out from behind Lady Kai. She looked like she was picking up a chicken. But it was Mrs. Zhou. A noble lady of the Zhou family. It wasn't just the Zhou family, everyone else in the hall also watched this in astonishment. Lady Northern Feng was so intimidating. Grabbed by Lady Northern Feng, Mrs. Zhou was utterly flustered. She yelled, What are you doing? Put me down. How could someone be so unbridled and presumptuous? After living her life as a respectable lady, Mrs. Zhou never expected to deal with someone so unruly and unreasonable. Putting Mrs. Zhou down on the ground, Lady Northern Feng shoved the ladder and made her stumble. Tell me. What's your problem with me? Mrs. Zhou was intimidated. Lady Northern Feng shoved her again. Say it. Mrs. Zhou hated Lady Northern Feng, but the latter had taken control of the situation in her overbearing manner, and Mrs. Zhou didn't dare utter a word. What did my Xiao Wu do? Are you proud of picking on her? Speak. Lady Northern Feng said in an aggressive manner. That was so fierce. Lady Northern Feng was so fierce. But she was the prestigious Lady Northern Feng, and her status meant a lot. Since she was a favorite of Her Majesty the Empress Dowager, no one dared to offend her. Mrs. Zhua stumbled back a few steps at Lady Northern Feng's push, but didn't dare to say a word after that. Before Mrs. Zhua spoke earlier, several other ladies had tried to play up to Lady Kai by tackling Lady Northern Feng. But now, almost everyone here realized that this Lady Northern Feng was a lunatic who didn't play by the book. She was domineering and puffed up with inordinate arrogance. Anyone who opposed her would be annihilated. Since no one wanted to become cannon fodder, no one dared to step out again. Lady Northern Feng looked at each face in turn, but no one dared to meet her eyes. They all looked elsewhere, their eyes darting away. Lady Northern Feng snorted and looked at Lady Kai again. Did you want to kick my Xiao Wu out just then? Apologize. Now. If Feng Sun had been very arrogant before, Lady Northern Feng acted like an invincible queen. Lady Kai almost fainted with rage. The Xianyuan clan was one of the 9 major clans, and Northern Feng Mansion was the most prominent noble family. The two families were of similar social status, but at that moment, Lady Kai was steadily losing ground to Lady Northern Feng. Chapter 11:11 She is never the type to suffer a loss. Lady Kai wept in a pitiful manner and gripped Xianyuan Zai's arm with both hands helplessly. Master. However, Xianyuan Zai only had time to pat Lady Kai's hand. Before he could say anything, Xianyuaning stepped forward. Watching on the side, the girl was furious. Lady Northern Feng was behaving atrociously in the Xianyuan family's territory, which was an insult to the extreme. Lady Northern Feng, that's enough. Xianyuaning glared at Lady Northern Feng with her chest stuck out. I was the one who cursed Feng Wu and tried to kick her out. If you want to take it out on someone, take it out on me, not my mother. Yes, she had called Feng Wu names. So what? Xianyuaning said it herself. What kind of person was Lady Northern Feng? She was never the type to suffer a loss. Hence, the next moment. Smack! Lady Northern Feng slapped Xianyuaning right in the face, that crisp sound. Everyone stared at Lady Northern Feng with a strange look in their eyes. She had really hit the girl. Xianyuaning was dumbfounded as well. She hadn't expected Lady Northern Feng to be so savage and absurd. You hit me. How dare you? Xianyuaning pointed at Lady Northern Feng. Lady Northern Feng slapped her again, and it was as loud as the first time. Yes, I did. She exerted a lot more strength this time, and Xianyuaning flew backward at the impact. Lady Northern Feng. The Xianyuan family members couldn't tolerate it anymore. This was the Xianyuan family's territory, and the lady was practically slapping the face of the entire family. Is Northern Feng Mansion declaring war against the Xianyuan clan now? Xianyuan Zai's face turned livid as he stood there with a stern look in his eyes. His face was so dark that it looked like a stormy sky. Although there were a lot of onlookers, no one dared to make a sound. Because no one knew what word would set them off and start a war between Northern Feng Mansion and the Xianyuan clan. Lady Northern Feng smirked. The Xianyuan family insulted Northern Feng Mansion first, and you're saying that I'm trying to start a war? Fine. Bring it on. Like that's gonna scare me at all. Lady Northern Feng slapped her palm down hard on a table. It was instantly pulverized. Xianyuan Zai's face turned livid. You. Lady Northern Feng said, let's have a war. Come on. Xianyuan Yu, Xianyuan Zai's brother, stepped out to defuse the situation right away. Lady Northern Feng, please don't be mad. It was just children bickering, and nothing that serious. Let's talk, for we're all reasonable people, aren't we? As Xianyuan Yu spoke, he gave Xianyuan Zai an inconspicuous tug and shot the latter a warning glance. Have you forgotten what kind of family Northern Feng Mansion is? Do you not know Lady Northern Feng's background? That family is too powerful for the Xianyuan clan to mess with now. Xianyuan Zhe snorted and looked away. By now, Feng Wu couldn't just stand around anymore. She couldn't just watch as Northern Feng Mansion and the Xianyuan family went to war. Feng Wu said, "Mother, please calm down. You'll upset yourself." "I'm fine." That, "mother," caught the attention of everyone present. So, Feng Wu really was the goddaughter of Lady Northern Feng. Taking Feng Wu's hand, Lady Northern Feng said to her with a serious and stern look on her face, "Honey, there's no need to say any more. You're my most precious daughter, you don't have to compromise out of consideration for me and silently swallow humiliation like this. Keep your chin up. That's all you have to do." Feng Wu was speechless. Alright, then. A lot of people at the banquet were looking at Feng Wu with mixed feelings. There was astonishment in their eyes, but more than anything else, there was jealousy. That was especially the case with people like Xianyuaning, Zhuo Qingyu, and their friends. As it turned out, Feng Wu really was Lady Northern Feng's daughter, and the favorite one. Chapter 11-12 Xianyuan Ying's heart sank. She recalled what she said to Feng Wu earlier, which consisted of some very rude things. Lady Northern Feng was so intimidating. When that woman wanted things her way, she didn't give a damn who she had to take down. Of course people were afraid of her. Lady Northern Feng glared at Xianyuaning. "Do you still remember what you said just then?" Xianyuaning gave Lady Kai a pleading look. Lady Kai wanted to help her own daughter, but it was obvious that Lady Northern Feng was here to get revenge for Feng Wu, and even Lady Kai was intimidated by Lady Northern Feng's demeanor. Although Xianyuaning was asking for her help, Lady Kai still looked away. Lady Northern Feng smirked. The Xianyuan manor is so hard to get in these days. Even a member of my Northern Feng mansion can get kicked out right away. Both Xianyuan Zhe's and Lady Kai's faces darkened. Xianyuan Yu came to their rescue. Lady Northern Feng, it was a misunderstanding, a huge misunderstanding. Ying Er didn't mean it. After that, Xianyuan Yu shot Xianyuaning an inconspicuous warning glance. "Apologize to Miss Feng now." "Why should she apologize?" a cold voice interjected just then, "Aunt." Xianyuan Ying's eyes lit up when she saw who it was. It was none other than Xianyuan Shuiyue, the daughter of the Xianyuan family who had married out. Xianyuan Shuiyue had never been on friendly terms with Lady Northern Feng, for she could have married the Northern Feng general, but in the end, the man married Lady Northern Feng instead. For that, Xianyuan Shuiyue still hated Lady Northern Feng. She had known that Lady Northern Feng was here the moment the latter arrived, and had come over just to make Lady Northern Feng's life harder. "Oh my, I was just wondering who it was. Isn't it our famous Lady Northern Feng?" Xianyuan Shuiyue walked in at an elegant pace, then darted a sidelong glance at Lady Northern Feng. "Aunt," holding Xianyuan Shuiyue's arm, Xianyuaning cried in grievance. Xianyuan Shuiyue stroked Xianyuan Ying's hair. "Good girl. What happened? Tell me. I'll back you up." "Aunt," Xianyuaning said between broken sobs, "Lady Northern Feng wasn't here at first and Feng Wu came on her own. All I did was ask her if she had an invitation." "What was wrong with that? If she didn't have one, she shouldn't be here, right?" Xianyuaning went on crying. "She never told me her relationship with Northern Feng Mansion, and Northern Feng Mansion never announced that Feng Wu was a member of their family." As Xianyuaning cried, she made sure to give excuses for her conduct. She had done nothing wrong and shouldn't be blamed. It was everyone else's fault. She was the most innocent person on earth. It just so happened that she had a point. Northern Feng Mansion had indeed never made the announcement that Feng Wu was a daughter of the family. Seeing the baffled look on Lady Northern Feng's face, Xianyuan Shuiyue was excited. Lady Northern Feng Mansion should be the one to blame. You're the only one to make that claim, and we have no way of knowing if it's the truth. You can say whatever you like. Xianyuan Shuyue snorted. So, my family did nothing wrong here. Lady Northern Feng was going to say something when Xianyuan Shuyue cut her off. Lady Northern Feng, you brought an army here, as if you're going to execute someone. That aggressive manner is just way too arrogant. That outright insults the Xianyuan clan. Other members of the Xianyuan clan chimed in. Yes. You've humiliated our clan. Xianyuan Shuyue stared at Lady Northern Feng. I'm afraid you'll have to give us an explanation, or there will be consequences. We can go to His Majesty if you want. I'd like to see which side His Majesty will take, his family or the truth. Chapter 11:13 Princess Feng Wu. Hearing that, Feng Wu frowned a little. This Xianyuan Shuyue was quite a piece of work. Her little speech just turned what Lady Northern Feng did into the behavior of a bully, forcing Lady Northern Feng's hand. Feng Wu was about to say something, but Lady Northern Feng smirked and asked her, "Did you tell them whom you were representing when you came?" Feng Wu said, "I did." Lady Northern Feng stared at Xianyuaning. Did she or didn't she? Xianyuaning didn't dare meet Lady Northern Feng's eyes. Just then, Mu the Sixth yelled, "Little Feng Wu said it," but Xianyuaning wouldn't believe her. Xianyuaning wasn't the only one. No one had believed Feng Wu earlier. Seeing that things were turning in Feng Wu's favor again, Xianyuan Shuyue's eyes darted around, then she smiled. "Goddaughter or not, it's not like you threw a party or anything. How were we supposed to know? I bet even His Majesty doesn't know either." Lady Northern Feng, are you holding so many grudges against the Xianyuan clan that you made up such an excuse to attack us? Many people gave Lady Northern Feng suspicious looks after hearing that. Lady Northern Feng smirked, then drew a scroll out of her wide sleeve, which she handed to Xianyuan Shuyue with an arrogant glance. Since all these people suspected that she was mistreating her goddaughter and was using Feng Wu to attack the Xianyuan clan, Lady Northern Feng decided to show them the evidence. These people had better open their eyes and take a good look. Xianyuan Shuyue didn't see this coming. The next second, an imperial edict was in her hand. Didn't that light yellow color represent the empire? An imperial edict? Lady Northern Feng has an imperial edict with her. What will it say? Everyone was curious and surprised. All eyes were on the imperial edict, and everyone had forgotten to blink. They eyed Xianyuan Shuyue, urging her with their stares to unroll the imperial edict. Xianyuan Shuyue's mind was telling her that the scroll's content would make her look very bad. Everyone was looking, however, and she didn't have any other choice. By the grace of God and His Majesty the Emperor, it is decided that Feng Wu, the daughter of the Feng family, is destined to be Lady Northern Feng's daughter for her equal stress on integrity and ability, as well as her elegance and virtue. Feng Wu is hereby given the title Princess Feng Wu. As Xianyuan Shuyue read on, her eyes almost popped out. It was real. His Majesty had even made Feng Wu a princess. A princess with a title wasn't the same as the other princesses out there. This was the most prodigious princess of all. It was inferior only to a royal princess. Crack. The imperial edict fell from Xianyuan Shuyue's hands. Those around Xianyuan Shuyue were so frightened that their hearts almost stopped. If word of this got out, the Xianyuan clan could be punished for showing the emperor grave disrespect. They would be doomed. Xianyuan Yu was standing close to Xianyuan Shuyue. Hence, he jumped forward and caught the imperial edict just before it hit the ground. Whoosh! Only then did the other Xianyuan clansmen let out breaths of relief. Even Xianyuan Zai's forehead was covered with a thin layer of sweat. He was petrified. All the members of the Xianyuan clan who were present glared at Xianyuan Shuyue. This woman had almost gotten the entire clan killed. Xianyuan Shuyue wanted to cry, but no tears would come. I really didn't mean to. But no one would believe her. But Feng Wu knew she was telling the truth, because she herself had been the one behind it. When Xianyuan Shuyue was feeling baffled just then, Feng Wu had struck and numbed Xianyuan Shuyue's fingers a little. What a pity, Feng Wu thought to herself. Staring at Xianyuan Shuiyue, Lady Northern Feng smirked. Xianyuan Shuiyue, I didn't know that you still had so many grudges against the royal family. Chapter 11:14 Xiao Wu, let us go. Before Xianyuan Shuiyue could offer an explanation, Xianyuan Yu apologized with a wry smile right away. Lady Northern Feng, it was a misunderstanding. My sister was simply careless. Please forgive her. By the way, this imperial edict is, fearing that Lady Northern Feng would look into it, Xianyuan Yu went on proclaiming the rest of the imperial edict. Princess Feng Wu. Everyone stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Especially Feng Lu and Feng Sang. The two of them gritted their teeth, overwhelmed with hatred. Feng Wu used to be of the same social status as the two of them, but the next thing they knew, she seemed to have grown wings and had become Princess Feng Wu all of a sudden. From now on, she would be superior to Feng Lu and Feng Sang. Zhuo Qingyu glared at Feng Wu with eyes filled with jealousy. Xian Yuaning stared at Feng Wu with bloodshot eyes and clenched fists. Her eyes almost popped out. She had thought that even if Feng Wu became Lady Northern Feng's goddaughter, that was it. She never expected His Majesty to write an imperial edict for Feng Wu. And she was made Princess Feng Wu, she may as well be Lady Northern Feng's real daughter. Lady Northern Feng pointed at Xianyuan Zhe. What a family you've got here. You're either dropping an imperial edict or disrespecting a princess instated by His Majesty himself. I finally see how the Xianyuan family demonstrates its respect for the royal family. Xiao Wu, let's go. Taking Feng Wu's hand, Lady Northern Feng turned to leave. That wouldn't do. Xianyuan Zhe and Xianyuan Yu exchanged looks. Judging by Lady Northern Feng's reaction, she was going to go to court to vent her grievances. And it was common knowledge that Lady Northern Feng was very well liked by the royal family. Lady Yu reacted quickly and stopped Lady Northern Feng in time by taking the latter's hand. She then smiled obsequiously. Lady Northern Feng, please don't go. Wait. Xianyuan Yu blocked their way as well. It's all a misunderstanding and bickering between kids. The Xianyuan family can't be any more loyal to His Majesty, the last thing we'd ever do is disrespect the Emperor. As Xianyuan Yu tried to stop Lady Northern Feng, he shot a warning glance at Xianyuan Zhe. Xianyuan Zhe was so frustrated. It was only moments ago that he had been standing up to Lady Northern Feng, but now. However, the royal family was simply too intimidating an entity to confront, and Xianyuan Zhe had to step up now for the sake of his entire clan. He kicked Xianyuaning. Go apologize to Princess Feng Wu now. Poor Xianyuaning. She was caught off guard, and the kick sent her right in front of Feng Wu. Her father had kicked her so hard that Xianyuaning couldn't stand up straight. She kept coughing until she spat out a mouthful of blood. When that happened, people began to give Feng Wu and Lady Northern Feng strange looks. Xianyuaning had mistreated Feng Wu and was indeed suspected of abusing her power for personal gain, but she had only done it for the safety of everyone else of her social class. She had every reason to want to check Feng Wu's invitation. Cough, cough. Xianyuaning wouldn't stop spitting out blood, and Feng Wu could tell right away that something was off. As expected, Xianyuaning made a very humble gesture and lowered her head to apologize to Feng Wu. Princess Feng Wu, I've offended you repeatedly. Please forgive me, cough. More blood spilled out of her mouth. Everyone else gave Xianyuaning sympathetic looks at the sorry sight she made. Feng Wu gave her a half-smile. Miss Xianyuan, you seem badly wounded. Let me examine you. Her hand landed on Xianyuaning, and it only took her an instant to discover that Xianyuaning was pretending. The girl had smashed part of her internal organs to force herself to vomit blood. She was merciless to herself. Flipping her own hand around, Xianyuaning took hold of Feng Wu's hand with a smile on her face. Chapter 11:15 Going to court for an imperial edict. My dear sister, it was all my fault. I failed to recognize what a great person you were before. Will you forgive me? Feng Wu glanced at Xian Yuaning. Forgive you? Xian Yuaning nodded repeatedly. Feng Wu only gave her a half-smile. Forgiveness isn't really my thing, and the Xian Yuan family will have to apologize for the wrong things you've done. Xian Yuaning wanted to talk her way out of it, and Feng Wu would never let her do so. Sister Feng Wu. Tears rolled down Xian Yuanying's cheeks. Sister Xiao Wu, you're right. It was all my fault in the beginning. I was misled by slanderous talk, which was why. Slanderous talk. Feng Wu only smiled slightly. Xian Yuaning had been probing Feng Wu's bottom line the entire time, and seeing that the latter seemed about to relent, she went on in a hurry, that's right. It's all Feng Lu's fault. She said that you didn't have an invitation and had a bad reputation. That was why Feng Lu felt a throbbing pain in her chest when she heard that, and she stared at Xian Yuaning in disbelief. The things she said? Xian Yuaning went on, Sister Xiao Wu, I'm sorry. My opinion was biased, which was why I was so impolite. Do whatever you want with me. She gave Feng Lu up and blamed everything on the latter, then righteously said that she herself should be the target of Feng Wu's anger. She could adapt to the situation, had a glib tongue, and was eloquent and quick to react. She had even dragged Feng Lu into this and let everyone know about the strife between Feng Lu and Feng Wu, cousins of the Feng family. This Xian Yuaning was an interesting character. Feng Lu was about to step out and retort, but next to her, Zhuo Qingyu stopped her and covered her mouth. The girl then shot Feng Lu a warning glance and said something in her ear. Feng Lu wanted to say something, but gave up in the end. Feng Wu looked past Xian Yuaning with a half-hearted smile at Zhuo Qingyu, Dugu Yamo, Feng Lu, and Feng Sang in turn. The looks on their faces were really interesting. Meanwhile, members of the Xianyuan kept trying to defuse the situation. Even Xianyuan Zhe and Lady Kai had to join in and speak in a humble manner. Lady Northern Feng had been given all the respect she could be given. The others would find her unreasonable if she still pretended to want to leave now. Xianyuan Yu was an even smoother talker. Lady Northern Feng, both families are very influential in the imperial capital. If we fall out like this and word gets out, it won't reflect well on either of us. Don't you think so? It might be fine if it really was a dispute, but what happened was a mere quarrel. It really isn't worth it, am I right? Lady Northern Feng felt like she had just won a war, and was over the moon. She knew that she had found a great opportunity as soon as she heard that Feng Wu had been targeted by the Xianyuan clan. Both His Majesty and His Majesty the Empress Dowager knew about her intention to have Feng Wu as her goddaughter, but neither gave her permission to throw a big party, which displeased Lady Northern Feng. She just wanted a goddaughter, why wouldn't they let her have that party? Wouldn't that make people assume that she didn't think her daughter was important enough? Lady Northern Feng made up her mind. She had to let everyone know. Hence, she went to court in a hurry. As soon as she got to the imperial palace, she complained to the Empress Dowager in tears, telling the latter how rude and unreasonable the Xianyuan family was, how tough her own life was with her husband away all the time, and how the Xianyuan clan was bullying Northern Feng Mansion. The Empress Dowager and the Emperor gave in to her tears. She then mentioned how Feng Wu had saved Jun Lin Yuan's life. The royal family hadn't rewarded her for that yet. She saved his life, and if the favor isn't returned, the bond between the two of them will only grow stronger. As soon as Lady Northern Feng said that, the Empress Dowager and His Majesty agreed in unison to make Feng Wu a princess. Chapter 11:16 A Grand Plan. Lady Northern Feng was very pleased with the outcome and had arrived at the Xianyuan mansion in a cheerful mood. She had hid the imperial edict at first to wait for the Xianyuan family to show their hand. And it worked. When Xianyuan Shuyue jumped out to distort the facts, Lady Northern Feng presented them with the imperial edict, and Feng Wu was able to make her mark in the first instance. Lady Northern Feng, it's about time. The old master will be out in a moment. If he knows that we let you leave like this, he'll punish us all. Holding Lady Northernfang's hand, Lady Yu smiled wryly. Lady Yu was a nice person, whom Lady Northernfang had dealt with before. It was just that Feng Wu had been mistreated this time. Hence, Lady Northernfang asked Feng Wu, "Xiao Wu, what do you think?" Since Lady Northernfang had been so domineering earlier, Feng Wu knew that she had to dial down her tone now. After all, they had demonstrated whatever needed to be demonstrated. Hence, Feng Wu smiled. "Mother, I'll do as you say." Seeing how considerate Feng Wu was, Lady Northernfang liked the girl even more. The party resumed and the crowd separated into groups once again. The youngsters got together with people of their own age and the noble ladies mingled among themselves. But Feng Wu was sitting with Lady Northernfang at the moment, and naturally, the other ladies came to pay their respects in a never-ending stream. Those attending the birthday party at the Xianyuan Manor were either from influential families or officials of the second rank or above. Seeing Lady Northernfang sitting there, the ladies went up to her one after another. "Miss Feng Wu is so pretty. Lady Northernfang, how lucky you are. I can tell right away that Miss Feng Wu has a great personality. She's so level-headed. Miss Feng Wu." As they spoke, the ladies began to take off their bracelets and other personal belongings, and gave them to Feng Wu as gifts for their first meeting. They surrounded Lady Northernfang and Feng Wu, creating a boisterous scene. Next to them, Lady Kai's face turned livid. After all, the Xianyuan family was the host tonight, so why did it look like Lady Northernfang had just taken over? What were these ladies thinking? They didn't even try to hide their efforts at playing up to Lady Northernfang. As the wife of the oldest son of the Xianyuan family, Lady Kai looked disgruntled when she saw this. Next to her, Lady Yu saw Lady Kai's reaction and smiled a little. Her sister-in-law had always thought highly of herself and taken advantage of her distinguished status. But when Lady Northernfang was around, Lady Kai could only feel stifled. How interesting. And what was Xianyuaning doing at this moment? She had been dragged into a small room by Zhuo Qingyu and the others. Xianyuaning, Zhuo Qingyu, Dugu Yamo, Feng Lu, and Feng Sang were all there. Feng Lu was the first to cry out when she saw Xianyuaning, and she looked aggrieved. "Sister Ing, how could you give them my name?" "When?" Xianyuaning frowned. Xianyuaning was already upset after being forced to apologize, and hearing Feng Lu's accusation, she wanted to hit someone. However, Zhuo Qingyu took Xianyuanying's hand, shook her head at the latter, and said something in a low voice. Their eyes met and they nodded at each other. Holding Feng Lu's hand, Xianyuaning looked like she was going to cry. "Sister Lu'er, you saw what happened just then. If I didn't say that, we would all be in trouble. Plus, you really were the one who told us that. I didn't exactly wrong you, did I?" Feng Lu said, "But..." Zhuo Qingyu looked sincerely into Feng Lu's eyes. "The most important thing right now is for us to take Feng Wu down together. Don't you agree? After the wrong you suffered today, she still looked so satisfied. Can you live with that outcome?" Of course she couldn't. "Sister Zhuo, do you have any ideas?" The others turned to Zhuo Qingyu. Chapter 11:17 goad her into action. Well, Zhuo Qingyu looked embarrassed. She began to speak, then hesitated. Xianyuaning took Zhuo Qingyu's hand. "Sister Zhuo, this is no time to hold back. Just tell us. We're all ears." Zhuo Qingyu said, "Well, it's not very nice." Feng Lu said, "Why does it have to be nice? After what Feng Wu did to us, she deserves anything we do to her." Zhuo Qingyu asked, "Do you all think that way?" The others nodded. Even Dugu Yamo, who hadn't had a chance to speak up to now, chimed in, as the onlooker here, "I can't watch anymore. This Feng Wu is so arrogant that she has to be taught a lesson." Since everyone agrees. All right. Zhuo Qingyu beckoned everyone over, lowered her voice, then told them her plan. In the end, she added, "It's just a suggestion. An idea. As for if it will work, if we do that, will my brother be affected?" Xian Yuaning sounded concerned. Duguyemo snapped, "How will that happen? Your brother is only a decoy, while the real person that'll end up there, hee." Xian Yuaning snapped her fingers. "I know just the right person for the job." Hearing the plan, Feng Sang quietly tugged at Feng Lu's hand. "Are you sure about this? Sister, please don't tell me that you're still concerned about her welfare. You might think of her as family, but she's never thought the same of us." Feng Lu was furious. Feng Sang frowned. "Family or not, if this gets out, our futures will be affected, too, since we're cousins of the same clan." Feng Lu only waved her off. "Hasn't Lady Northern Feng taken her in as a goddaughter? If Feng Wu is going to bring disgrace to someone, it'll be to Northern Feng Mansion. Look, we were brought up by the Feng clan, but we've never done anything like that, she'll be the only one. So, it'll have nothing to do with the Feng clan, and only Northern Feng Mansion will be implicated. I'd like to see how much Lady Northern Feng will want her as a daughter then. Jealousy could drive people to madness." Back at the dinner party, Xian Yuaning went up to Lady Kai with a grin and held the latter's arm. Lady Kai had "unhappy" written all over her face. Xian Yuaning then leaned over and whispered in her ear, "Mother, don't worry. I'll make her pay for everything she did to you." Lady Kai's stomach lurched. "What are you going to do?" Xian Yuaning only smiled, but said nothing. She then went over to Feng Wu and held her arm. "Sister Feng Wu, there are so many grown-ups here and it's boring. How about you join us?" Lady Northern Feng stared at Xian Yuaning and thought that the latter looked very mean. She was about to turn the offer down for Feng Wu, when the latter rose to her feet with a smile. Smoothing down the non-existent wrinkles on her dress, she said, "Sister Ying has kindly invited me over. I would be letting her down if I don't go. Mother, I'm going with her." Feng Wu hadn't forgotten why she was here at the Xianyuan mansion. She had come here to find traces of the second broken star piece, but ever since setting foot in this place, she had been limited to this room without the chance to go anywhere, which made her worry a little. Xian Yuaning had shown up at the right moment to give Feng Wu an opportunity. It was like giving a sleepy person a pillow, and of course, Feng Wu wouldn't turn her down. Lady Northern Feng knew how smart Feng Wu was. Seeing that she had agreed to go, Lady Northern Feng cautioned her daughter. "Be careful. You don't have to be overcautious, though. If anyone is stupid enough to mess with you, just kick their asses. I'll have your back no matter what." Chapter 11:18 Bright Dragon Soil. Those around them all drew in their breaths. Lady Northern Feng was such a tough character. She taught her daughter quite differently from everyone else. Lady Kai's face turned darker, for she felt as if Lady Northern Feng was mocking her. But that it wasn't like Lady Kai could retort. Xian Yuaning looked stumped for a split second, but was soon back to normal. She smiled at Lady Northern Feng. "Your ladyship is right. But please don't worry. I won't let anything happen to Sister Wu. When everything is over, I'd like to see if Lady Northern Feng will still want this daughter." Xian Yuaning smirked inwardly. In the backyard, Xian Yuaning led Feng Wu all the way there and soon met up with Zhuo Qingyu and the others. Everyone welcomed Feng Wu warmly this time. Zhuo Qingyu smiled. "Sister Wu is so pretty." Duguyemo said, "I agree with Qingyu. Before, I thought Sister Zhuo Qingyuan was the most beautiful person in the imperial capital, but Sister Wu is equally pretty, if not better." Zhuo Qingyu didn't flinch when she heard that, rather, her smile turned even brighter. "You don't say. My sister really isn't as pretty as Sister Wu here. As Zhuo Qingyuan's own sister, I can attest to that." Xian Yuaning said, "Oh, my, I heard that. Sister Zhuo will beat you up when she gets back." Duguyemo looked at Zhuo Qingyu. Your sister is coming back. Zhuo Qingyu glanced at Feng Wu with a smile. I think she'll be back after she becomes a spiritual lord. A spiritual lord? All the girls drew in their breaths. Xian Yuaning said, isn't that too high a goal? How long do we have to wait to see Sister Qingwan? It won't be that long. Zhuo Qingyu glanced at Feng Wu indifferently, then said with a smile, with my sister's talent, she'll become a spiritual lord in less than a year. Less than a year? Oh God! Is that even possible? What level is Sister Qingwan at now? Everyone cried out in surprise. Their reactions weren't for Feng Wu. Zhuo Qingwan really was making progress so fast that her peers were feeling the pressure. They felt that they couldn't even begin to catch up to her. Zhuo Qingyu darted another look at Feng Wu, then smiled. My sister. I heard from my father the other day that she's a level 7 spiritual elder already. Seriously? Xian Yuaning was the first one to cry out. Didn't she only just become a spiritual elder? Zhuo Qingyu raised her head and looked proud. You know very well how talented my sister is. Other people have been making such quick progress, can my sister be slower than that? By other people, she obviously meant Feng Wu. Everyone sighed in amazement, for Zhuo Qingwan's speed of progress was way beyond their expectations. If that's the case, the only girl good enough for His Royal Highness is Sister Qingwan. I can't think of anyone else. Even Xian Yuaning had to admit that. As they chatted, Feng Wu frowned a little. So, did these people bring her out here so that she could listen to stories about Zhuo Qingwan? Feng Wu was about to find an excuse to leave, when Xian Yuaning cried out, I got it. Everyone looked at her in bewilderment. Xian Yuaning said, just the other day, someone gave my grandfather a precious birthday gift. The others asked in unison, what gift? Xian Yuaning said, bright dragon soil. What's bright dragon soil? Feng Lu was confused. So was Zhuo Qingyu. Dugu Yamo cried out, bright dragon soil. Really? The legendary bright dragon soil that's supposed to be able to refine one's talent? Chapter 11:19 I am doing this for your own good. Xian Yuaning nodded repeatedly. That's right. I heard that bright dragon soil can make one break through a lot faster. Bright dragon soil. If it really was bright dragon soil, Feng Wu would be very interested. Many people thought that bright dragon soil could help one's cultivation and make them break through faster. However, Feng Wu could actually refine the soil and make something better out of it. But the bright dragon soil wasn't her top priority now, her focus was on clues about the broken star piece. Just then, Xian Yuaning proposed, usually, Grandpa won't even let us touch it, but with so many guests outside, my grandpa won't have the time to keep an eye on it. How about, we go check it out? Feng Lu said, good idea. All of us would like to see this bright dragon soil. Zhuo Qingyu asked, are you sure? Bright dragon soil is so precious. I don't think I should go. Dugu Yamo said, Ing air, I think we'll skip. But Sister Wu. Didn't you offend her before? I think showing her the bright dragon soil is a great idea. Just think of it as an apology. Xian Yuaning turned to Feng Wu with a guilty look in her eyes. Sister Wu, why don't you go with me? Don't worry. We'll just have a look. Even if Grandpa discovers us, he won't be mad at us. Feng Wu said, so, it's in. Xian Yuaning replied, it's in my grandpa's yard. Don't worry. It'll be perfectly safe. You might be an excellent cultivator now, but you still have a long way to go if you want to catch up to Sister Zhua. Don't you want to progress more quickly? So, that was why they deliberately brought Zhuo Qingwan up in front of me earlier? Are they trying to goad me? Thought Feng Wu. Feng Wu shook her head. Actually, I don't. But no one believed her. Xian Yuaning held Feng Wu's arm. Sister Xiao Wu, just come with me. I'll show you the way. It'll just be the two of us. None of them are going. In fact, deep down, Feng Wu wanted to go. Under normal circumstances, it would be very difficult for Feng Wu to get close to old Master Xuanyuan's courtyard. However, with Xian Yuaning as her cover now, things had become much easier for her. Temptingly passive, Feng Wu let herself be dragged away by Xian Yuaning. As Xian Yuaning urged Feng Wu along, she made a victory hand sign at those behind her. In Xian Yuan-kun's courtyard. Naturally, the courtyard was guarded, but Xian Yuaning didn't take the usual route. Instead, she took Feng Wu to some rocks and whispered to the latter, "There's a secret passageway which will lead you right inside. I won't let just anybody know about it. Sister Xiao Wu, I'm only letting you in on the secret because we're good friends." Of course, Feng Wu said yes, but only she knew what she was thinking. It was indeed a secret passageway. Xian Yuaning pressed a button, and the rocks opened up to quickly reveal a passage wide enough for one person to walk through. "Sister Xiao Wu, it's dark inside. I'll lead the way. Please follow me," Xian Yuaning cautioned her. "All right." Feng Wu nodded. As they walked through the dark tunnel, Feng Wu didn't let her eyes miss a single detail. In fact, as soon as they walked into the tunnel, Feng Wu knew perfectly well that there was a hidden formation inside, which turned the tunnel into a maze that was easy to enter but impossible to leave. However, no formation could ever confuse Feng Wu. Hence, Feng Wu memorized the formation as she followed Xian Yuaning into the tunnel. Roughly 5 minutes later, she saw a faint light ahead of them. Blowing out the candle in her hand, Xian Yuaning said to Feng Wu over her shoulder, "Sister Xiao Wu, let's be straight. I offended you earlier and I've now taken you here to see the bright dragon soil. We're even after this. You can't hold me accountable anymore." Chapter 11:20 Actually, I am not. Feng Wu shook her head. "Actually, I'm not that into the bright dragon soil." Xian Yuaning laughed inwardly at how fake Feng Wu was. "If you really have no interest in the bright dragon soil, why did you pretend to reluctantly follow me here as soon as I mentioned it? Zhuo Qingyuan has been making such quick progress that I don't believe you're not agitated by it," thought Xian Yuaning. Xian Yuaning snorted in her head, but still had a smile on her face. "I know, Sister Xiao Wu. You never wanted to come, but I forced you to come with me. Right?" Feng Wu said, "Yes." As Feng Wu spoke, she glanced at a yellow parrot perched on the wall of the courtyard. She waved at the bird. The yellow parrot actually flew toward Feng Wu at her beckoning and stopped on Feng Wu's outstretched arm. Taking out a pea-sized top-grade spiritual stone, Feng Wu fed it to the bird. Xian Yuaning frowned when she saw that. The yellow parrot belonged to her grandfather and was usually very rebellious and naughty. She didn't even know that it could be so docile. Xian Yuaning said to Feng Wu, "Don't mess with the parrot. Let's get down to business." Feng Wu glanced at Xian Yuaning as she fed the yellow parrot, then asked casually, "What business can we possibly have here?" Xian Yuaning said in a fluster, "The bright dragon soil. Didn't I promise to show it to you? Why are you still in the mood to play with the bird?" Feng Wu said indifferently as she teased the bird, "I'm not that eager to see it anyway. This bird is a lot more fun." "You're so," Xian Yuaning pointed at Feng Wu, exasperated at Feng Wu's failure to play along. "Sister Xiao Wu, please don't be offended, but why don't you have any ambition at all?" Feng Wu looked at her with a perfectly innocent and baffled look on her face. "Huh?" Xian Yuaning said, "Didn't Zhuo Qingyu mention Zhuo Qingyuan just then? Aren't you disturbed at all? Back then, the two of you were known as the two genius girls of the imperial capital. Now that she's almost a spiritual lord, you're still a spiritual master. Don't you find that humiliating?" Feng Wu said, Xian Yuaning stared at Feng Wu. "That's why I brought you here to see the bright dragon soil. Hear me out." Xian Yuaning lowered her voice. "My grandpa isn't here right now, so why don't we take this opportunity to steal some of that soil for you? It'll help you with your cultivation." Feng Wu cried out in surprise, steal the bright dragon soil. That's not what you told me earlier. You said we would just look at it. Xian Yuaning walked into the courtyard, dragging Feng Wu behind her and grumbling as she went. A thief never leaves empty-handed. Haven't you heard that before? Since we're already here, you'd be a moron if you didn't take some bright dragon soil away with you while you're at it. Feng Wu said, but it belongs to your grandfather. How can you steal from him? Xian Yuaning snorted. Who says I'm going to steal it? They reached a secret room as they spoke. Xian Yuaning smiled, pleased with herself. Here we are. My grandpa keeps his best stuff here. Step away a little while I open the door. Feng Wu said, I'm still scared. Forget it. You stay. I'm leaving. Xian Yuaning grabbed Feng Wu. Where are you going? You're already here and you're coming in with me. Feng Wu cried out in surprise. Ah. The next second, with a click, the door was tightly shut. But Feng Wu was left inside with Xian Yuaning outside. Feng Wu cried out, what is this place? This isn't your grandfather's treasure room. Xian Yuaning, why did you lock me up here? Let me out. Chapter 11:21 Had I known. Xian Yuanying's malicious voice came from outside. Feng Wu, did you really think I was going to take you to some treasure room? Ha ha ha, Feng Wu banged on the door. Xian Yuaning, you set me up. You led me into this trap. I'll get back at you even if I turn into a ghost. Xian Yuaning snorted. You're not going anywhere. Soon, you'll wish you were dead. Feng Wu yelled angrily, aren't you afraid that Northern Feng Mansion will take revenge for me? Ha 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 ha. Northern Feng Mansion. Lady Northern Feng really is an arrogant character, but after your reputation is ruined, do you think she'll still want you as a daughter? I'd worry about yourself if I were you. Ha ha ha. Xian Yuaning walked away as she spoke. Just then, Feng Wu heard a low snicker in the room. Turning around, Feng Wu saw a hideous, taunting face in the dim light. It was Zhuo Qinglu. His eyes were so red that they seemed to be bleeding. He looked frightening. His breathing was loud, but he seemed sober. Feng Wu. Ha ha ha, I didn't think it would be you. Zhuo Qinglu looked a little unsteady as he stumbled toward Feng Wu. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes in a threatening manner. It's you. Ha ha ha, it's me. I bet it never crossed your mind. Zhuo Qinglu rushed toward Feng Wu and tried to throw his arms around her. But Feng Wu dodged. Zhuo Qinglu almost smashed his head into the wall. Luckily, he was still lucid and could still use his abilities. He ended up only knocking his head against the wall a little, but that was enough to give him a big bump on the forehead. You bitch! How dare you run away? Zhuo Qinglu reached out to grab Feng Wu. Feng Wu dodged again. Meanwhile, she kicked Zhuo Qinglu hard. Zhuo Qinglu was sent flying backward to smash into the wall. He grimaced at the pain. Feng Wu went up to the wall and began to study it. However, she was surrounded by walls. Even the ceiling and floor were made from broken dragon stone, and the door was nowhere to be found. Zhuo Qinglu guffawed next to her. Feng Wu, don't be so naive. You won't be able to open it. Zhuo Qinglu slumped onto the ground and looked at Feng Wu with a taunting look in his eyes. We're not getting out. Ha ha ha. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes and looked over her shoulder at him. Don't you feel yourself getting warmer? Ha ha ha, Zhuo Qinglu grinned at Feng Wu. Can't you see that your spiritual essence is evaporating with the heat? Feng Wu stared at Zhuo Qinglu. Zhuo Qinglu guffawed. Have you heard of spring breeze powder? Do you know Perching Phoenix Pavilion and Miss Fengqi? Spring breeze powder is the great creation of Miss Fengqi. Well, you look like a perfectly decent girl, so of course you know nothing about brothels. Ha ha ha, little Feng Wu, it's been years since we last met, who knew you would turn out so stunning and attractive? Had I known that you would grow into something so beautiful, I would never have let you slip out of my grasp. I should have kept you as a little slave when you were still young. But it's never too late to start. Tonight is as good a time as any. As time passed, the temperature in the room kept rising until it was like a sauna. However, the next second, Feng Wu's dagger was at Zhuo Qingliu's throat. You done talking? The murderous intent behind that abrupt, cold sensation at Zhuo Qingliu's throat made his stomach lurch. Chapter 1122 Where is the lead on the broken star piece? Why can you still think straight? Zhuo Qingliu stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled coldly. Miss Fengqi created the spring breeze powder. Said who? It had in fact been one of Feng Wu's experiments. Back then, Feng Wu had thought that if aphrodisiacs had to exist in this world, why couldn't it be something she made? If she could achieve perfection in an aphrodisiac of her making, would she be able to control people with it so as to extract information? Feng Wu, who had only been 7 or 8 then, began to develop that idea into a business. She didn't expect the spring breeze powder to actually become a top-notch aphrodisiac. However, she had handed the drug to Uncle Qin back then. How did Miss Fengqi come into the picture? It seemed it was time for her to pay Uncle Qin a visit. When Feng Wu created the drug back then, she had wondered if something like this would happen to her when she grew up, given how many enemies she had. She didn't expect the notion to turn out to be a prophecy. Since Feng Wu had created the drug, she naturally had a cure for it. But Zhuo Qingliu didn't know that. He stared at Feng Wu with eyes filled with disbelief. Zhuo Qingliu asked, "Why aren't you drugged? Shouldn't the drug almost be taking full effect now?" It's so hot, Zhuo Qingliu kept tearing at his clothes, wishing that he could jump Feng Wu. But Feng Wu kept Zhuo Qingliu down on the ground and stepped on him. She shook her head. Time was of the essence, and she had no time to waste on Zhuo Qingliu here. She knocked Zhuo Qingliu unconscious. She had only been putting on an act for Zhuo Qingliu when she couldn't find the door earlier. In fact, Feng Wu never trusted Xian Yuaning from the start. As soon as that girl led her away, Feng Wu had been on guard. Feng Wu had figured out that it was a 7-star formation while she was in the tunnel. This dark room was only a cover for the real core of the formation. That was to say, the dark room was fake, and the real core was elsewhere. To someone who didn't know anything about formations, there was no way out of this square dark room, but Feng Wu wasn't just anybody. Her fingers moved in an indescribable way. She then stepped on 3 spots on the ground, and knocked on the wall 7 times. What was more, the time interval between knocks varied, and she used a different amount of strength each time. After 3 stomps and 7 knocks, there was a click. A door slowly opened. But it wasn't the one which Xian Yuaning had led her through. Even Xian Yuaning herself probably didn't know about this particular door. Feng Wu walked through the real secret door, and soon saw the genuine treasure room. Well, Xian Yuaning, thank you for showing me this great place. Feng Wu's top priority now was to look for leads on the broken star piece. Everything else could wait. The treasure room wasn't packed. However, as a place for treasures, it was quality rather than quantity which counted. Glancing around the room, Feng Wu saw secret scrolls of the Xianyuan family, manuals, weapons, the bright dragon soil, and an unknown stone. It reminded her of a cobblestone, which glistened warmly like white jade and had a very refreshing-looking translucent texture. What a treasure! However, after scanning the entire room with her eyes, Feng Wu didn't see anything else of interest. Where was that clue for the broken star piece? Feng Wu scratched her head. Whatever. She decided that she would take everything and study them carefully after she got back home. If she couldn't find the clue this time, she would visit old Master Xianyuan again. Chapter 1123 Untitled. Luckily, Feng Wu had the ring space, or she would never be able to take all those things with her. After getting out of the formation, Feng Wu thought about Zhuo Qingliu. Xian Yuaning had deliberately locked Feng Wu inside that room. What was her purpose? What was her plan after that? In fact, Xian Yuanying's true purpose wasn't that hard to guess if one followed her train of thought. It was just that Xian Yuaning wasn't the only one who could frame Feng Wu with such a malicious scheme. Feng Wu could answer in kind as well. Feng Wu smiled a little. There was no time to think it over. Feng Wu quickly changed into a subterfuge outfit which made it easier to run around at night. Feng Wu was planning to grab Xian Yuaning at first. After all, Xian Yuaning had come up with this, and every debt had its debtor. However, Feng Wu didn't expect to hear Lady Kai talking to an old maid when she ran past the garden. Feng Wu recognized the old maid, who followed Lady Kai around all the time. Lady Kai said, "You're a good cultivator. Keep an eye on my daughter. Do whatever she asks you to do. Follow her orders." The old maid left as instructed. Looking at the clear, bright moonlight outside, Lady Kai smiled fiercely. She said, "Ying-er, you said you're going to get revenge for me. I'm really looking forward to it." Feng Wu stopped right away. She would have to look everywhere for Xian Yuaning if she wanted to catch the latter, but Lady Kai was right here. Although, it would be a lot more eye-catching this way, wouldn't it? This Lady Kai wasn't all that innocent. At that thought, Feng Wu smiled a little. However, Feng Wu knew with one look that Lady Kai was a capable cultivator. She was a level 9 spiritual grandmaster at least. Yet, it wasn't an impossible mission. As long as Feng Wu was careful enough, she could find a chance to suppress the lady. With that thought in mind, Feng Wu took out a dagger, then took advantage of the moonlight to quietly make her way toward Lady Kai. Poor Lady Kai. She was so overwhelmed by the thought of the pleasant surprise that Xian Yuaning was supposed to give her that she never realized someone was approaching her from behind. All of a sudden. Lady Kai felt something frighteningly cold on her neck. When she realized what was happening and wanted to cry out, a hand covered her mouth, pressing down so hard that she couldn't utter a word. "You." Feng Wu said in an eerie, changed voice, "Lady Kai, it's been a while." After that, Feng Wu smashed the hilt of her dagger down on Lady Kai's nape. The next second, Lady Kai felt her head swim, and she passed out. No one knew what happened to Lady Kai, not even Xian Yuaning. At that moment, she was running back to the party in a hurry, asking everyone she met on the way, "Do you know where Feng Wu is? Have you seen Feng Wu?" Xian Yuaning went all the way back to the party in that flustered state. Zhuo Qingyu frowned. "Feng Wu? Didn't she leave with you?" Xian Yuaning said, "We were walking together at first, but she then said she wanted to go by herself. I lost sight of her after that." Du Guillermo asked, "How can she be missing? Where did you lose her?" Xian Yuaning said, "My grandpa's courtyard." "What are you girls whispering about?" The banquet was about to start, and Lady Yu was looking for Lady Kai, the wife of the oldest son of the Xianyuan family, for the latter needed to host the event. But Lady Kai was nowhere to be found. Instead, Lady Yu found Xian Yuaning and the others gathered together as they whispered among themselves. Lady Yu couldn't help asking, "Ying-er, have you seen your mother?" Chapter 1124 Untitled. Xian Yuaning shook her head. "Isn't my mother inside?" Lady Yu said, "An old maid asked for your mother earlier, and she left the hall. I have no idea where she went. The banquet is about to officially start. What am I going to do?" Xian Yuaning screwed up her face. "Aunt, my mum can wait. I have a more pressing problem here. Feng Wu is missing." "What?" Lady Yu's eyes widened and she stared at Xian Yuaning. "What did you do to Miss Feng?" Lady Northern Feng was boredly drinking tea while she waited for Feng Wu to come back. She waited and waited, but Feng Wu never appeared. Lady Northern Feng was growing impatient, and when she heard that, her gaze shifted in that direction right away. Her gaze was very sharp. Right then, she rose to her feet and headed in Xian Yuanying's direction with Granny Tao at her elbow. What was that? Where's my Xiao Wu? Lady Northern Feng stared at Xian Yuanying with eyes filled with murderous intent. Deep down, Xian Yuanying feared Lady Northern Feng. She was ridden with a guilty conscience as soon as the lady stared at her. Zhuo Qingyu poked Xian Yuanying in the waist, reminding the latter not to give herself away. That was right. Xian Yuanying stealthily clenched her fists and took a deep breath. Feng Wu is missing. Lady Northern Feng instantly had a fierce and frightening look in her eyes. Grabbing Xian Yuanying's collar, she lifted her off the ground. What did you say? A lot of noble ladies were present, and seeing this, they all tried to dissuade Lady Northern Feng. My lady, please don't do this. Ying Er is just a kid. Lady Northern Feng said, my Xiao Wu is also just a kid. Tell me now. Where did you hide her? Xian Yuanying put on a long face. Your ladyship, I really have no idea. Earlier, Feng Wu heard about the bright dragon soil my grandfather received. She said that the soil could make her reach a breakthrough faster, and she forced me to take her there. Xian Yuanying said between broken sobs, I offended her earlier today, and to make up for it, I took her there, even if I knew I shouldn't. Bright dragon soil. Everyone's eyes widened. What a treasure. It was a substance that was so hard to come by. Impossible. Lady Northern Feng disagreed right away. Xiao Wu isn't a greedy, reckless child. Zhuo Qingyu smiled bitterly at that moment. I think I said the wrong thing when I mentioned that my sister is already a level 7 spiritual elder, and would become a spiritual lord by the end of this year. Feng Wu was agitated by the news, which was why she did such an unreasonable thing. It's all my fault. Lady Northern Feng, punish me all you want. Lady Northern Feng stared at Zhuo Qingyu and her chest heaved violently with anger. This Zhuo Qingyu was quite the character. She talked up Zhuo Qingyuan and trashed Feng Wu in the same breath, making Feng Wu sound like a bad girl who was jealous and had problems controlling her emotions. Dugu Yamo gave a wry smile as well. I was there the whole time and I can attest to it. They're telling the truth. Feng Wu begged Ying Er and even threatened her with her connection to Northern Feng Mansion. She said that as long as Ying Er took her there, she wouldn't tell your ladyship on Ying Er, otherwise. After Zhuo Qingyu's slander of Feng Wu, Dugu Yamo went on making false accusations against her, giving an impression of Feng Wu as an evil, unreasonable girl who bullied others with her power. Few people in this world were clear-headed. The majority simply parroted the views of others. What was more, the more slander was repeated, the more people believed it. What the girls said took effect right away, and the noble ladies in the hall all began to think poorly of Feng Wu. Chapter 1125 Untitled. The noble ladies spoke to Lady Northern Feng in turn. Your ladyship, judging by what's happened, you really need to watch Feng Wu more closely. Your ladyship, they're all saying the same thing, so it's really possible that. Your ladyship. However, no matter what the others said, Lady Northern Feng remained adamant and waved her hand. Someone else might do that, but not my Xiao Wu. After that, Lady Northern Feng stared at Xian Yuanying. I now have reason to believe that you girls conspired to set my Xiao Wu up. Take us there, and find her. Now. Xian Yuanying had gone through all this trouble just so that she could lure everyone over to watch the grand finale. Xian Yuanyu glared at his troublesome niece. Take us there now. Xian Yuanying nodded in a hurry. Sure, of course. I'll take you there right now. Before she left, Xian Yuanying glanced at Zhuo Qingyu and the others, and they all understood the twinkle in each other's eyes. Soon, everyone arrived at old Master Xuanyuan's courtyard. Xian Yuanying said, we parted ways here. Feng Wu said she was in a bad mood and needed some time alone, so I left her here. I waited for a long while, but she never came back. Hence, everyone spread out to look for Feng Wu, and they searched the limited area around the bushes, the rocks, behind them. They left no stone unturned, but there was still no trace of Feng Wu. Just then, there were sounds from inside, and old Master Xianyuan finally made his belated entrance. Wearing a red and black long robe decorated with golden thread and dark patterns, he was in high spirits and ready to receive the homage of his offspring in the main hall. However, he saw so many people as soon as he came out of the room, and was baffled. Since it was his birthday today, the old man didn't release his spiritual essence, and only thought of himself as a regular old guy. What's going on? The old man frowned. Grandpa, Xianyuaning ran over to him, wrapped her arms around his thigh, and cried. Grandpa, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I'm so sorry. Xianyuan-kun shook his head. Just tell me what happened. Hence, between broken sobs, Xianyuaning told her grandfather everything. Xianyuaning said, Grandpa, I really didn't mean to. I just wanted to show Feng Wu how real bright dragon soil can purify one's mind and invigorate one's body continuously. Old Master Xianyuan glanced at Xianyuaning in resignation. You really should be punished, but the bright dragon soil is well hidden, she won't be able to find it. Xianyuaning nodded excitedly. Just then, they heard a surprised cry from somewhere nearby. Everyone exchanged looks and all rushed in that direction. Old Master Xianyuan moved especially fast, and his gaze was as sharp as a cold blade. Because those rocks were the key to entering his secret treasure room. Old Master Xianyuan was the first to rush in, and the first thing he saw was the door that the key would open. Instantly, he narrowed his eyes, a dangerous look in them. Because he could tell that the door had been tampered with. He frowned and blanched a little. Smashing the door open with his big hand, he rushed in, moving as fast as a streak of lightning. The faces of the others went pale as well when they saw this. The grave look on old Master Xuanyuan's face reminded them of the sky before a storm, and it was terrifying. Fearing that Feng Wu might get hurt, Lady Northern Feng rushed into the tunnel right after that with her guards. With old Master Xianyuan inside, then Lady Northern Feng and her guards. Chapter 1126 Untitled. Xianyuaning, Zuoqingyu, and Dugu Yamo also rushed in like cannonballs, running so fast that no one had time to stop them. The rest of the onlookers were all wealthy, respectable people whom Xianyuan couldn't exactly stop. As a result, almost everyone went inside after that. Instantly, the tunnel was almost blocked. Luckily, there was an open space right outside the secret room which was wide enough to fit everyone. Meanwhile, old Master Xianyuan was unlocking the door to the secret room, his eyes narrowed and a stern look on his face. Xianyuaning turned her head and exchanged looks with Zuoqingyu and the others. Their eyes shone with excitement. They had planned for so long just for this moment. Once that door was opened, Feng Wu's reputation would be in the MUD.IT would be a traumatizing event for a woman, but for a man, it would be no more than another romantic affair. Zuoqingyu's plan was to have Zuoqinglu take Feng Wu back to the Zuo family afterward, but of course not as his wife. She would merely be a concubine. Once Feng Wu was in the Zuo family, she would be at their mercy. Zuoqingyu was still savoring her plan when, with a click, the door to the secret room opened. A wave of hot air blasted them as soon as the door opened, and a streak of blood flowed out. Blood? Had Zuoqinglu gone too far and killed Feng Wu? Xianyuaning and Zuoqingyu exchanged startled looks. But soon, they realized that something was off. Feng Wu lay on the ground in her pretty dress, and fresh red blood flowed down her wrist and toward the door. Her dress was pristine and neat, and she didn't look a bit like someone who had just been raped. This wasn't right. Xianyuaning and Zuoqingyu gave each other confused looks. Where was Zuoqinglu? Xianyuaning and Zuoqingyu ran into the room right away. However, the secret room was only 10 square meters in size and was void of any furniture. One could tell with a glance that it was completely empty. Where's Zuoqinglu? Grabbing Zuoqingyu, Xianyuaning wanted to throttle the latter. She thought they had a deal. The plan was to have Zhuo Qinglu rape Feng Wu. Zhuo Qingyu looked equally dumbfounded. She had gone over the plan with Zhuo Qinglu and he had agreed to everything. But where was he? Meanwhile, Lady Northern Feng and Feng Sun had already rushed in. Holding Feng Wu up, Feng Sun asked anxiously, "Xiao Wu, what happened? Why is your hand bleeding?" Feng Wu said in a weak, broken voice, "Get out. This secret room has poison." Hearing that, those who wanted to enter all stepped back involuntarily. "What poison?" asked Lady Northern Feng. Feng Wu smiled bitterly. "Spring breeze powder, an aphrodisiac. Unfortunately, you're the only one here." Lady Northern Feng gritted her teeth. She was no fool, and could tell that this was the sort of trap that women often use to set one another up. At that thought, Lady Northern Feng threw a dirty look at Xian Yuaning. "I was trapped here and didn't have an antidote on me, so I had to cut my wrist and let the toxin flow out with my blood. It helped a lot with easing the sickening effect." An aphrodisiac? Feng Wu had been locked up here and drugged with an aphrodisiac. Who locked you in here? Who? Lady Northern Feng gritted her teeth in rage. Feng Wu pointed at Xian Yuaning without hesitation. Right now, Xian Yuaning was utterly flustered. Chapter 1127 Untitled. This wasn't supposed to happen. The original plan was that she would lead everyone here and they would all witness what Feng Wu and Zhuo Qinglu were doing. By then, no one would care how loudly Feng Wu cried or what she said, for no one would believe her. But now Xian Yuaning didn't expect to find Feng Wu lying in the secret room alone and unaffected by the aphrodisiac for the most part. She didn't know how to respond. Hence, all Xian Yuaning could do now was deny it affirmatively. She said, "No. I didn't lock you up here. Feng Wu, you're making all that up." Feng Wu snorted. "Yes, you did. You locked me up here yourself and said you would send a man in to rape me. Luckily, I found your scheme out soon enough, or my reputation would have been ruined by now." Xian Yuaning said, "If you're out to condemn someone, you can trump up a charge however you please." Feng Wu asked, "Xian Yuaning, are you going to keep denying it?" Xian Yuaning said, "I didn't do anything to you. Why should I admit it?" After taking a breath, she went on, "Feng Wu, I know I offended you earlier, but didn't I already apologize to you? Why are you still trying to frame me?" Feng Wu smirked. "So, you're saying that I locked myself up in this secret room, drugged myself with an aphrodisiac, then cut my own wrist open to win everyone's confidence?" Xian Yuaning said, "You said all that, not me." For a moment, everyone eyed both Feng Wu and Xian Yuaning suspiciously, not knowing who to trust. Feng Wu said, "What if I said that I have proof?" Xian Yuaning said, "Do whatever you want with me if you can show us proof." "I didn't do it, so bring it on." "You don't scare me." Feng Wu gritted her teeth. Xian Yuaning took that as a sign of Feng Wu's guilty conscience and retorted right away, "Didn't you say you have proof? Show us. Don't tell me those were just empty words." Lowering her head and clenching her fists, Feng Wu looked unsure of herself. Xian Yuaning became aggressive. "You're making the whole thing up, saying that I tried to set you up. I'm a good, innocent girl from a good family, and I'll get married one day. Even if I can forgive you for ruining my reputation like this, the Xian Yuan family won't." What Xian Yuaning said put the entire Xian Yuan family on her side. As expected, the other members of the Xian Yuan family chimed in. Xian Yuan Shuyue was especially loud. She had been keeping a frustrated silence for a while, of course she wouldn't let go of such a great opportunity. Hence, Xian Yuan Shuyue smirked. "That's right. Show us your proof, or admit that you tried to set her up. It's all an act." Feng Wu looked like she was going to vomit blood from frustration. She swayed, as if she was going to collapse. Infuriated, Feng Sun wanted to rush out and beat those people up. However, at that moment, a yellow bird flew in and landed on Xian Yuanying's shoulder. It mimicked Xian Yuanying's voice and said, "Sister Xiao Wu, let's be straight. I offended you earlier and I've now taken you here to see the bright dragon soil. We're even after this. You can't hold me accountable anymore." Everyone was astonished. Since the parrot just happened to be sitting on Xian Yuanying's shoulder, everyone else thought that the words were coming out of Xian Yuanying's own mouth. Hearing that, Xian Yuanying was dumbfounded. Those were the exact words she had said to Feng Wu earlier, and this bird had recited the whole thing. It sounded exactly like Xian Yuanying herself. Chapter 1128 Untitled. Xian Yuanying panicked and involuntarily tried to catch the yellow parrot. However, the bird seemed to be an expert at dodging, and the next moment, it was on Feng Wu's shoulder. It mimicked Feng Wu's voice. "Actually, I'm not that into the bright dragon soil." The others were all baffled. Xian Yuanying had turned frantic, and she yelled at the top of her lungs, "Catch the bird! Catch it!" Ah! However, as soon as the people of the Xian Yuan family tried to move, Lady Northernfang's guards stopped them. The yellow parrot went on with its performance. It said in Xian Yuanying's voice, "I know, Sister Xiao Wu. You never wanted to come, but I forced you to come with me. Right?" Then there came Feng Wu's voice. "Yes." Xian Yuanying couldn't stand it anymore. If she didn't do something, the situation would only turn against her, and when that happened. Flustered, Xian Yuanying wanted to snap the stupid bird's neck. However, Feng Sun took action as soon as she stepped forward. He caught Xian Yuanying, pinned her hands behind her back, then tied her up with a mortal restraining rope and threw her on the ground with a thud. Xian Yuanying cried loudly, "Kill the bird! Kill it now! It's talking nonsense!" The bird went on reciting the conversation. Xian Yuanying's voice rang out. "My grandpa isn't here right now, so why don't we take this opportunity to steal some of that soil for you? It'll help you with your cultivation." Then there was Feng Wu's voice. "Steal the bright dragon soil? That's not what you told me earlier. You said we would just look at it." In Xian Yuanying's voice, "A thief never leaves empty-handed. Haven't you heard that before? Since we're already here, you'd be a moron if you didn't take some bright dragon soil away with you while you're at it." In Feng Wu's voice, "But it belongs to your grandfather. How can you steal from him? No, don't believe the bird. It's making things up. Just kill it." Xian Yuanying was still putting up one last struggle. However, a lot of people besides the members of the Xian Yuan family knew that the yellow parrot belonged to Old Master Xian Yuan. Because the old man often had such a parrot on his arm while he strolled around the campus of Imperial College. Hence, everyone started discussing among themselves in whispers. "That's not just any bird, but one that Old Master Xian Yuan raised himself, everyone knows it. You can't make that up." So, Xian Yuanying really was lying. "I didn't expect that. She was just telling us that Feng Wu demanded to see the bright dragon soil, but it turned out that she was the one who wanted to see it." Inverting justice and throwing mud at other people, this Miss Xian Yuan is quite the character. She's such an expert liar for her age. Hearing the criticism and ridicule, Xian Yuanying was so mad that she almost vomited blood. Things weren't working out the way she had planned. "I didn't do it. There's something wrong with the bird. Feng Wu messed with it. I'm sure of it." People might have believed Xian Yuanying at first, but a lot of them had now attested that this was indeed Old Master Xuanyuan's bird. What was Old Master Xian Yuan doing at that moment? Everyone looked for him, but he wasn't here. The bird went on talking. All of a sudden, the bird mimicked a thump. "Feng Wu, did you really think I was going to take you to some treasure room? Ha ha ha, Xian Yuanying, you set me up. You led me into this trap. I'll get back at you even if I turn into a ghost. You're not going anywhere. Soon, you'll wish you were dead." Chapter 1129. What were they seeing? Then there was Feng Wu's voice. Aren't you afraid that Northern Feng Mansion will take revenge for me? Xian Yuan Ying's voice rang out. Ha 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 ha. Northern Feng Mansion. Lady Northern Feng really is an arrogant character, but after your reputation is ruined, do you think she'll still want you as a daughter? I'd worry about yourself if I were you. Ha ha ha. This yellow parrot was spectacular. Not only did it have an amazing memory, its ability to imitate others made one want to slap a table and say bravo. It could mimic voices as well as facial expressions. It imitated Xian Yuan Ying's breathing, expressions, and manner of speaking to a T. The resemblance was almost frightening. If that wasn't proof, then what was? Lady Northern Feng flared up. Xian Yuan Ying. You've been lying through your teeth. We almost believed you. Seeing that her lie had been exposed, Xian Yuaning turned to flee. But it was too late for that now. Lady Northern Feng's guards weren't paid for their good looks. Two men blocked Xian Yuan Ying's way, ensuring that she wasn't going anywhere. Then, Lady Northern Feng rushed over and reached out to grab Xian Yuaning, dragging the latter over to her side. Lady Northern Feng was merciless when she took action. She started beating Xian Yuaning up right away. The others watched with open mouths. Families like theirs never punished their daughters the way Lady Northern Feng was doing. Their most severe punishment was to lock the girls up and make them transcribe Buddhist scriptures. A beating like this was unheard of. However, people of the Xianyuan family didn't dare utter a word as the lady threw punches at Xian Yuaning. After all, what Xian Yuaning had done was beyond shameless. The beating alone wasn't going to be enough. They knew that Lady Northern Feng would be demanding more later. Feng Wu calculated the time and realized that those two people should be overwhelmed by their passion by now. At that thought, Feng Wu struggled to her feet and left Feng Sun's arms. She went up to the lady. Mother, please stop. You'll hurt your hands. Humph. Lady Northern Feng swept her hand through the air in vexation, throwing Xian Yuaning at the wall of the secret room. Well, Feng Wu had chosen her spot after careful calculation. And she tampered with the angle and the speed at which Xian Yuaning flew out. Because only by doing that could she ensure that they would see an even better show next. What a waste of this big crowd if she didn't show them something sensational. Thud. Xian Yuaning slammed into the wall, and soon, there was a rumbling sound. Lady Northern Feng was so strong. Everyone wondered if Xian Yuaning had been injured by that throw. They were still wondering, when they heard a click. The door opened, and the secret room started moving all of a sudden as it began to rotate on the spot. No one noticed how livid old Master Xuanyuan's face had become. Click. The secret room rotated 180 degrees so that the small, empty room which Feng Wu had been in earlier moved to the back. The other side that had been in the dark was now facing the crowd. Only that. When they realized what they were seeing, everyone's eyes opened so wide that their eyeballs popped. Holy shit! They couldn't believe their eyes. The door to this secret room was wide open, and inside, two naked bodies were intertwined and busy with each other. The positions, the motions, the sounds. It was so stimulating that everyone blushed and looked away. Someone said all of a sudden, "Isn't this the old master's treasure room? Had the old master hidden something here?" Chapter 1130. How shocking. Old Master Xianyuan himself was blushing. How was he supposed to know what was going on? However, his biggest concern at the moment wasn't who was doing what inside, but if his treasure was still safe inside. He rushed into the room in vexation and kicked the people out before he saw their faces. The two bodies were still intertwined in mid-air and wouldn't part from each other. However, the impact of the fall forced them to separate. But when they saw who the two people were, ah! 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 People screamed, cried out, and drew in their breaths. It was horrible. The scene made all eyes widen and left everyone speechless, their mouths agape. Lady Northern Feng was equally amazed. Isn't this Lady Kai? She was right. The heroine of the incident and the naked woman lying on the ground was none other than Lady Kai herself. As for her male partner, it was Zhuo Qinglu. Someone cried out his name. Yes, the hero of the story was the second son of the Zhuo family, the womanizer. Oh God! It's the second young master of the Zhuo family. Lady Kai and young master Zhuo the second. They're not even of the same generation. Lady Kai is the wife of the oldest son of the Xianyuan family. And today is old master Xuanyuan's birthday party. They couldn't wait. Not to mention that they were doing it in the old master's treasure room. That's so. No wonder we couldn't find Lady Kai anywhere earlier. She was. Oh God, I need to unsee that. How horrible. As soon as they recognized Lady Kai and Zhuo Qinglu, Xianyuan Yi and Zhuo Qingyu removed their outer robes and threw them over the two bodies. Xianyuan Zhe was the most shocked person of them all. And the most humiliated, for that matter. Xianyuan Zhe's face was darker than a stormy sky. Not only did a roomful of people see his wife cheating, she was doing it with a man of a younger generation, who was the son of a close friend. Ah! Infuriated, Xianyuan Zhe rushed over and tried to throttle Zhuo Qinglu. He moved so fast. The others didn't have time to react. Ah! Zhuo Qinglu, who had finally come back to his senses, was still bewildered. He then had to face the fear of death. Let go of my brother. Let go of him. Zhuo Qingyu screamed. Help! Please help me. So many people were watching, and they couldn't just let Zhuo Qinglu die like this. Hence, they all rushed over and dragged Xianyuan Zhe away. Zhuo Qingliu's face had turned a bluish-purple color and he was barely breathing. Feng Wu crouched down next to him and checked his breathing. He's dying and needs medical care. As she spoke, Feng Wu started working on him with her golden needles. Feng Wu had taken action because she had to keep Zhuo Qinglu unconscious. Otherwise, if he woke up and ranted that he had planned to rape Feng Wu, she would become part of this scandal. And Feng Wu wasn't going to let that happen. What are you doing? Zhuo Qingyu stared at Feng Wu, alarmed. Feng Wu shrugged. Is that how you treat a good Samaritan? If it isn't for me, Zhuo Qinglu would be dead by now. Zhuo Qingyu said, but he's... Chapter 1131 Father. No. Feng Wu said, you'll have to ask Master Xianyuan, then. But if you ask me, Zhuo Qinglu will wake up in a few hours. Zhuo Qingyu stared at Feng Wu. Since when are you so kind? Feng Wu said, it's not like you've tried to harm me or anything. Why should I hold a grudge against you? Or have you tried to harm me? Zhuo Qingyu glared at Feng Wu. You're imagining things. After that, Zhuo Qingyu threw Zhuo Qinglu over her shoulder and fled the scene, taking advantage of the chaos. Otherwise, Zhuo Qinglu would surely be killed after the Xianyuan family realized what had happened. Seeing that he couldn't kill Zhuo Qinglu, Xianyuan Zhe took out a dagger and tried to stab Lady Kai in the chest. Father! No, of course Xianyuaning wouldn't watch her mother get killed, not to mention that she had been the mastermind behind this scheme. Xianyuan Ying's shriek drew all attention to Lady Kai, making it impossible for Xianyuan Zhe to kill her. Just then, furious bellows came from inside the room. There was then the sound of shelves being overturned and shattered. What was going on? Everyone was baffled. Feng Wu was the only one in the crowd who knew what was going on. She had taken all 10 items that old Master Xianyuan kept there as his treasures. Then, old Master Xianyuan rushed out of the room and bellowed, no one leaves. His voice was like a thunderclap exploding over the crowd. Everyone felt their ears buzz, and the pain was so piercing that they felt like their ears were bleeding. Dad, what happened? Xianyuan, you looked startled. Old Master Xianyuan was very sensitive about his reputation, and all the guests here for his birthday party were from influential families. The old man had lost his senses and was in a frantic state. Those were some of his most prized possessions. As the saying went, a clever rabbit had 3 burrows. He didn't put all his eggs in the same basket, but the treasures here consisted of at least a third of what he had accumulated throughout his life. He was being driven mad. Seeing how crazed old Master Xianyuan looked, Feng Wu realized how precious the 10 items she had taken were. The next moment Xianyuan stared at Feng Wu. He then marched toward her. Feng Sun blocked his way and glared at the old man. "What are you doing?" The old man was still in a rage and didn't care who Feng Sun was. He swept his hand through the air, exerting a wave of energy that reminded one of a gigantic tide. Feng Sun was a capable cultivator himself, but he couldn't withstand even a single strike from the old man. He flew backward. The next second, Lady Northern Feng shielded Feng Wu with her own body. Right now, old Master Xianyuan had bloodshot eyes and smoke coming out of his nostrils. He stared at Feng Wu as if she was his ultimate enemy. Lady Northern Feng glared at the old man and warned him in a cold voice, "No matter what happened, old master, I'd like you to calm down." All 18 knights of Northern Feng Mansion lined up in front of Lady Northern Feng. Their attitude couldn't be any more straightforward. Anyone who tried to lay a finger on Lady Northern Feng would have to do so over their dead bodies. In a normal situation, old Master Xianyuan wouldn't be so frantic. But this wasn't just any situation. Of the 10 items that were missing from the treasure room, the bright dragon soil was only important enough for him to feel a little sorry. As for the martial arts manuals of the Xianyuan family, he had memorized them all. Chapter 1132 No one is leaving. But one of the treasures was more important than his life. That was why old Master Xianyuan had such a frantic reaction. The old man struck out right away. Thump! 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 The 18 knights were all mighty cultivators. But the Xianyuan family wasn't without powerful cultivators. On the contrary, they had more of those than one could count. For instance, all 18 elders who had been hiding in the dark jumped out of their hiding places. Thump! 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 Fighting broke out everywhere. What a chaotic scene! Seeing that things were getting messy, the onlookers all turned to leave. However, old Master Xianyuan bellowed, "No on leaves. Xianyuan, you, close off the passageway. Kill anyone who tries to leave." Those were some very harsh words. What on earth was going on here? The guests exchanged looks and everyone looked confused and terrified. The 18 elders and 18 knights of Northern Feng Mansion fought in the air, and neither side could get the upper hand. Old Master Xianyuan, on the other hand, went directly for Feng Wu. Lady Northern Feng stood ramrod straight in front of Feng Wu like a mother hen guarding its chick. She was furious. "Don't you dare touch my Xiao Wu. Over my dead body." Old Master Xuanyuan's bloodshot eyes couldn't see anything else. With a wave of his hand, Lady Northern Feng was brushed aside. Lady Northern Feng couldn't stop stumbling forward at the impact. Luckily, Granny Tao reacted quickly and caught her in time, preventing her from suffering any injury. Meanwhile, old Master Xianyuan was staring at Feng Wu with his cold eyes, and he reached out with his strong right arm. He opened his hand and wrapped it around Feng Wu's thin, fair neck with a vice-like grip. Feng Wu was lifted off the ground until her feet dangled in the air. This was so dangerous. Instantly, Feng Wu realized that her air was cut off. She couldn't breathe. She was being suffocated. Instinctively, Feng Wu's legs kicked around. Her face turned a bluish-purple color and her pupils began to dilate. Lady Northern Feng was sick with worry. She ran up to the old man in a frantic state. "Put her down. Put her down now. You're going to kill her." Old Master Xianyuan stared at Feng Wu and bellowed, "Speak. Where did you hide them?" By then, Xianyuan Yi had rushed into the inner room, and he ran out with a look of disbelief on his face. "It's gone. All the treasure inside is gone. His grandfather had shown the room to him before, telling him that everything inside would be his one day. But just like that, they were all gone. Cough. Feng Wu wanted to speak, but no air would enter her lungs. She pointed at her mouth, indicating that she wanted to say something. The old man snorted, then tossed Feng Wu onto the ground. He said furiously, "Spill." Cough, cough, Feng Wu coughed violently and gasped for air. Rushing over, Lady Northern Feng wrapped her arms around Feng Wu, feeling so sorry for the girl. She then shot a warning glance at the old man. This isn't over. Northern Feng Mansion will get to the bottom of this. The old master wouldn't even glance at Lady Northern Feng. He kept his gaze on Feng Wu. Feng Wu knew that she couldn't reveal anything about the treasure, or there would be consequences. Speak. Old Master Xianyuan bellowed. Feng Wu lay in Lady Northern Feng's arms, but kept her gaze on the old man. With a pale face, she asked weakly, "I don't know what to tell you." The old man said, "Where did you hide all the treasure that was in that room? Speak." Chapter 1133 Feng Wu panics. Feng Wu only looked more bewildered and innocent. Was there something in the room? Old Master Xianyuan was even more furious. Feng Wu said, "The room I was in was empty. Apart from myself, there was nothing in it." Old Master Xianyuan narrowed his eyes in a threatening manner. Feng Sun snorted. "Old Master, can't you see for yourself? Xiao Wu was locked inside the room and couldn't get out. If she could, she wouldn't need to cut herself to neutralize the poison by bleeding out." That was right. The others nodded. The old man's treasures had been stolen, but it couldn't have been Feng Wu who did it, for even if she had, she didn't have any place to hide them. Staring at Lady Kai, Feng Sun snorted. "Old Master, Lady Kai and Zhuo Qinglu had free access to your treasure room. Don't you think that those two are the ones you should ask?" He was right. Only then was everyone struck with realization the secret room Feng Wu had been in was obviously a fake one, and the one Lady Kai had come out of was the real treasure room. Old Master Xianyuan looked bewildered. Only then did he realize that was the case. However, when he looked up, "Where's Zhuo Qinglu?" The old man's face darkened and he narrowed his eyes. "He's gone. I saw Zhuo Qingyu carry him off as soon as she had the chance." Someone in the crowd spoke loudly. Old Master Xianyuan darted a glance at the elders. With a whoosh, the elders disappeared from the crowd right away. "However, although they are my prime suspects, that doesn't mean that you're innocent. Search them." Old Master Xianyuan bellowed. Naturally, the guests didn't like it, but Old Master Xianyuan was acting like a madman, and there was nothing they could do to fight back. However, with what happened, everyone now knew how the Xianyuan family dealt with other people. From then on, they naturally became distant from the Xianyuan family. As for Lady Kai. Old Master Xianyuan warned that if word got out and they discovered the person who leaked the news, the Xianyuan family would do everything they could to kill them. That severe warning frightened a lot of people, and it went without saying that not many people would gossip about it. However, ambiguous rumors were bound to get around, but that wasn't until a while later. The Xianyuan family searched everyone, but they couldn't find anything. In the end, Old Master Xianyuan turned his gaze on Feng Wu again. He slowly walked toward her. That instant, Feng Wu suddenly had a bad feeling. The old man raised his hand and reached for Feng Wu's head. "No!" Feng Sun roared, then tried to rush over. Old Master Xianyuan was going to search Feng Wu's memories with the power of his soul. Feng Wu wasn't capable enough at the moment, and her soul was vulnerable. If anything went wrong, she could be crippled mentally. But no one was able to stop the old man. Feng Wu hadn't been worried at first, but when she realized that Old Master Xianyuan was going to search her mind, she panicked, which she never did. If he really read her mind, there was no way she would be able to survive. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. Site only. Even if the old man couldn't find anything in her memories, once something went wrong, he could turn her into an idiot. What should she do? Feng Wu was flustered, despite the unperturbed look on her face. Feng Sun, Lady Northern Feng, and the guards. None of them could stop the frenzied old man. No matter how many threats Lady Northern Feng threw at him, he wouldn't listen. His big hand landed on Feng Wu's crown, and a chilly sensation ran down Feng Wu's spine. Chapter 1134 Formidable Power. A chill ran down Feng Wu's spine. She shivered from head to toe at the cold, and froze on the spot. Looking up, she met old Master Xuanyuan's eyes. What a pair of eyes! They were gloomy and ferocious, and there was a cold glint in them that was even more terrifying than the dark. Instantly, Feng Wu felt a despair that she had never felt before, and was reminded of the time when she was trapped by the Zhuo family and Zhuo Qingyuan destroyed her divine phoenix blood. It hurt. When old Master Xuanyuan's spiritual essence entered Feng Wu's Lingtai point from his palm, Feng Wu felt as if her head was being pierced with a long and thick needle, and she felt an electric current run through her. The next moment, her entire body went numb and her mind was blank. Feng Wu had a very bad feeling. She could hear the bellows and angry cries of Lady Northern Feng and the others, but the voices grew distant and her pupils began to dilate, her eyelids were getting heavier. If she closed her eyes, she might never open them again. And the next time she opened them, she might be mentally handicapped. Hence, when old Master Xianyuan tried to hypnotize Feng Wu used all her mental strength to fight him. Wait! The old master was surprised inwardly. Feng Wu's cultivation level was nothing to him, which was why he thought he could easily extract Feng Wu's soul, look into her mind, and search her memories. But only after he started working did he realize how difficult it was to open her mind. It seemed that he had to crush her mind completely. The old master didn't care about the consequences. He wanted results. No! Feng Sun cried out. He's going to force Xiao Wu's mind open. If he succeeds, Xiao Wu really is going to become mentally crippled. Oh God! How can old Master Xianyuan do this? Stop! Stop it! However, neither Lady Northern Feng nor Feng Sun could stop the frenzied old Master Xianyuan. The others had lost all hope when a cold gust of wind hit old Master Xianyuan, and there was a loud bang. The old man felt a numbing pain in his wrist, and he instantly couldn't feel a thing with that arm. How formidable was this power? Everyone in the room turned around to look behind them. A godlike figure landed gracefully. The teenager had beautiful eyes and a handsome face that could take one's breath away. The moment he showed up, he looked around the room in the same way that an emperor inspected his land. The pride of a sovereign that was on his face made everyone want to go down on their knees and pay homage. His Royal Highness. Oh God! It's His Royal Highness, Jun Linyuan. No wonder the old master's hand was smacked away. His Royal Highness is the only one who can do that. Right now, the Crown Prince's unblinking gaze was fixed on old Master Xianyuan, his eyes like dark whirlpools before a coming storm. The next second, he picked Feng Wu up and moved 10 meters away. Boss Jun! Feng Sun cried out in a hoarse voice, so excited that he couldn't say anything coherent. Because Feng Sun had been bellowing at the old man non-stop, his throat was now so raw that he could barely make a sound. Boss Jun! Rushing over in excitement, Feng Sun snatched Feng Wu out of Jun Linyuan's arms. He looked Feng Wu up and down and asked anxiously, Xiao Wu, are you alright? Talk to me. Are you okay? Feng Wu was still dizzy. Because the old man had tried to search her memories just then, she had shut her mind up like a clam. The only thing she cared about was the secret about her beautiful master. Feng Wu would rather die than let other people know about it. Chapter 1135 All Hail His Royal Highness. Luckily, Jun Linyuan got here in time. His face was the first thing Feng Wu saw when she opened her eyes. Jun Linyuan had a bone-chilling look on his well-defined face. He looked as cruel and fierce as Satan himself, making the others tremble with fear. But somehow, Feng Wu wasn't intimidated at all. Instead, she smiled a little. "Boss Jun." Feng Sun pointed at the old man and loudly complained to Jun Linyuan, "That old fool is outrageous. He nearly crippled Xiao Wu mentally. Boss Jun, teach him a lesson for us." Jun Linyuan's brooding black eyes immediately turned bloodshot, and his thin lips were so red that they seemed to bleed. No one else had been able to stop the frenzied old man, but Jun Linyuan's stare made the old man's stomach lurch all of a sudden. A giant hand seemed to grip his heart, and the pain almost suffocated him. That was impossible. Xianyuan Kun bellowed in his head. The teenager was indeed a capable cultivator, but the last time Xianyuan Kun met Jun Linyuan, he definitely hadn't been the old man's equal. But now even Xianyuan Kun himself couldn't detect Jun Linyuan's actual cultivation level. He only knew that it was beyond his imagination, and it was strangely terrifying. The old man was so awestruck that he didn't dare make any reckless moves. It was a submissive mentality that he would only have in the face of an extremely powerful cultivator. Xianyuan Kun stared at Jun Linyuan in disbelief. Despite the crown prince's unparalleled talent, he was still just a teenager. "Did you hurt her?" The look on Jun Linyuan's face was cold, and the words that came out of his mouth even colder. Xianyuan Kun didn't dare to be presumptuous in front of Jun Linyuan. He snorted. "Your Royal Highness, you're assuming things." Feng Sun complained loudly. "What's that supposed to mean? You mistreated little Feng Wu. Your stuff might have been stolen, but Xiao Wu is the victim here. We haven't asked you for compensation yet, but you falsely accused Xiao Wu of stealing your things, and you tried to search her memories." Old Master Xianyuan snorted. "Searching her memories will prove her innocence. I was doing it for her own good." Feng Sun smirked. "Can you promise that you can use that mind-searching method without damaging her brain?" Crossing his hands behind his back, the old master raised his chin proudly. "No, I can't." Feng Sun was infuriated. "How can you still be that righteous when you know that?" Old Master Xianyuan looked at Feng Sun as if the latter was an idiot. "She's just a girl from some declining family. Why is Northern Feng Mansion even bothering to take her side? If you like girls like that." The old master darted a glance at Xianyuan. "I'll give her to you in compensation." Feng Sun was so furious that he almost choked as he stomped his foot in a frenzy. "Like hell I'm going to take your family's ugly, vicious girl. I won't have her, even if her dowry is the entire Xianyuan mansion." Well, that was a very offensive thing to say, but Lady Northern Feng didn't stop Feng Sun. After all, what old Master Xianyuan said had been pretty offensive, too. The old man was furious. "You ungrateful brat. Get out. Get out of my mansion now." With the crown prince backing him up, Feng Sun was more confident than ever. Resting his hands on his waist, he said, "Do you think you can bully my Xiao Wu for nothing? I'm not leaving just because you said so. Mind you, old man, we're not going anywhere today until you give us a satisfactory explanation." After some thought, Feng Sun turned to Jun Linyuan. "Boss Jun, they poisoned Xiao Wu with spring breeze powder." "Spring breeze powder?" The crown prince frowned, and there was a confused look on his breathtakingly beautiful face. Chapter 1136 Jun Linyuan, have you lost your mind? Feng Sun glanced at Jun Linyuan and realized how ignorant his boss Jun was in this aspect. "It's an aphrodisiac that can turn anyone into a thirsty wolf," Feng Sun explained loudly. They also locked little Feng Wu up in a room, so that she would die from bleeding out through her nose, mouth, and ears from not getting any release. But what they didn't know was that Xiao Wu knows how to counteract the effect of that aphrodisiac. Feng Sun snorted. "I guess there's divine justice after all, Ha ha ha, with what's happened between Lady Kai and Zhuo Qinglu, the Xianyuan family is so humiliated this time. Old Master Xuanyuan's face darkened right away. Xianyuan Zhe and the rest of the Xianyuan family didn't look any better either. Die! Xianyuan Zhe charged at Feng Sun like an infuriated lion. Thump! Before he could reach Feng Sun, Lady Northern Feng, who had been standing on the side, grabbed a brick next to the rocks and smashed it down on Xianyuan Zhe's head. Thump! The brick hit Xianyuan Zhe right in the forehead, and blood gushed out right away. Furious, the old man was about to lash out, but Jun Linyuan blocked his way. As a matter of fact, ever since the teenager laid eyes on Feng Wu's pale face, he had been seething. Then, his brooding gaze landed on Feng Wu's wrist. The cut had stopped bleeding, but the blood on her wrist was still unpleasant to look at. Anger spread out from the crown prince. The air turned misty and the temperature dropped to the freezing point within a radius of hundreds of meters around everyone. It's so cold. Everyone at the scene shuddered. They either crossed their arms or rubbed their hands together to fend off the sudden drop in temperature. This external chill wasn't the most striking thing. What terrified them the most was the fear that surged up from within. The crown prince and the old master met each other's eyes. The energies of these two powerful men clashed, creating a force wave which spread out in all directions. Even the air fluctuated violently. Kill yourself. The crown prince's black eyebrows reminded one of icy blades. Everyone cried out in surprise when they heard that. What was that? What did His Royal Highness just say? Am I hearing things, or did His Royal Highness tell old Master Xianyuan to take his own life? Is it a misunderstanding? This is old Master Xianyuan we're talking about here. His Royal Highness is the crown prince and a prominent figure for sure, but he doesn't have the right to execute the head of a major clan, does he? He was the old master of the Xianyuan family. All the members of the Xianyuan family drew in their breaths. Especially Xianyuan Ying. She had always thought highly of herself, but little did she expect that to His Royal Highness, her grandfather was just another person he could kill at will. The old master was the most astonished of all. You, Xianyuan Kun's eyebrows twitched. Jun Linyuan, have you lost your mind? Status-wise, Jun Linyuan was the crown prince, but Xianyuan Ku was the head of a clan. In Imperial College, he was the deputy principal, while Jun Linyuan was a student. Jun Linyuan frowned a little, and the expression on his chiseled face was colder than ice. So, I have to do it myself, is that it? Jun Linyuan casually spread his hands, which were sinewy and fair, but as deadly as the sharpest blade that could take a life at any moment. Old Master Xianyuan smirked. What can a mere teenager possibly do to me? Since you're so arrogant, I don't mind teaching you a lesson on your father's behalf. After that, the old man flipped his big hands, and a giant battle axe appeared. Chapter 1137 His Royal Highness demonstrates his power. It's the peerless battle axe. Xianyuan Zhe cried out in surprise. The peerless battle axe was Xianyuan Kun's ultimate weapon, and the old man wouldn't use it unless it was absolutely necessary. The battle hadn't started yet, and already the old master had taken out his ultimate battle axe, which showed how highly he thought of Jun Linyuan. Instantly, many people turned their eyes to Jun Linyuan. The crown prince's face was breathtakingly beautiful, but right now, no one was paying attention to his good looks. All they could sense was his terrifying energy. Bring it on. Old Master Xianyuan charged out furiously, and his battle axe swept through the air. Even in a deadly battle like this, the crown prince remained splendidly elegant. He didn't use any sort of weapon, for his weapon was his hands. The peerless battle axe swung at Jun Linyuan's face, moving as fast as a streak of lightning. The crowd was overwhelmed by a suffocating sensation. The sky overhead twisted, and crushing energy fell down on them. Everyone else stumbled back, then back again. Cough, cough. Feng Wu had been lying in Jun Linyuan's arms the whole time. Right now, Her cheeks were flushed, and the enormous pressure sent her into a fit of coughing. Looking down, Jun Linyuan studied the teenage girl's bloodless face. The girl had always been as vibrant as the spring sunshine and morning dew around him. Whether she was being naughty, upset, or stubborn, or admitting defeat, she always looked full of vigor and in high spirits. But now, she couldn't even stand on her own feet after the blood loss and the fright. Jun Linyuan felt as if a giant hand was squeezing his heart, and it hurt to breathe. He didn't understand what that pain meant. All he knew was that he was furious. Handing Feng Wu to Lady Northern Feng, he only said 2 words, 1 minute. He couldn't bring himself to hand Feng Wu to Feng Sun. Inadvertently, Lady Northern Feng saw the look in Jun Linyuan's eyes. What a realization! When he looked at Feng Wu, Jun Linyuan's eyes were filled with tenderness. But when he turned to stare at Xianyuan Kun, the look on his face became murderous and merciless. Lady Northern Feng was speechless, and wondered if she had discovered something. But the Crown Prince struck before she could work it out. He charged at Xianyuan Kun, as if he had turned into a streak of blood-red light. He then raised his right hand, and a crimson sword appeared. The sword energy lashed out before Jun Linyuan reached his enemy. The battle had started. Whoosh! The 2 powerful men clashed in mid-air. The sword blade glinted, and there were shadows everywhere. All anyone could see was an afterimage of Jun Linyuan, when the teenager himself was already way up ahead. Whoosh! A force wave spread out. The sky twisted. The clouds dissipated. Whoosh! The Crown Prince struck out continuously, and when the crowd could see clearly again that the battle was over. Who lost? Who was the winner? Thump! Thud! A hand fell to the ground. Thump! Then a foot. Thump! 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 And in the end, there was a louder thump. Looking closely, the others saw that it was old Master Xianyuan. Right now, the old man's arrogance and toughness had disappeared. The Crown Prince had cut off the old man's 4 limbs, leaving him with just a torso. A torso without any limbs. And that torso was mangled and covered in blood. Everyone's mouths dropped in astonishment. The Xianyuan family was even more aghast. "Oh God!" someone cried out. Immediately, there were even more exclamations. Chapter 1138 I Object. How can something as horrifying as this happen? How frightening. Is he still the Crown Prince we know? That's the old master of the Xianyuan family. People cried out in surprise one after another, and the voices went on and on. Everyone stared at the Crown Prince as if they were seeing a god. The looks on their faces were a mix of excitement, fear, reverence. Feng Wu's eyes were wide open. Jun Linyuan could actually. He was actually capable enough to destroy old Master Xianyuan. The old man was already at the spiritual king stage. Exactly how capable was Jun Linyuan? The Crown Prince then pulled his sword back. With that, the rampaging force wave died down completely. Sensing Feng Wu's gaze, the Crown Prince glanced at her. He had enjoyed quite a few proud moments like this, but never had he been as content as now. Had the girl become so important to him already? And he was even feeling a strange sensation, which could be considered sweet. Nonsense. How could a crown prince like him become affectionate like the commoners? That was ridiculous. At that thought, Jun Linyuan threw a dirty and stern look at Feng Wu. Baffled by the look, Feng Wu rubbed her nose and wondered what was wrong with His Royal Highness this time. While the Feng family and Jun Linyuan were exchanging looks, members of the Xianyuan family had almost lost their minds. Old Master. Father. Grandpa. Xianyuan Zhe, Xianyuan Yu, Xianyuan Yi, Xianyuan Ing, and every other member of the Xianyuan family rushed over in unison, surrounding the old man in the middle. At that moment, old Master Xianyuan was bleeding all over his body, but he was still conscious. Lips quivering, he tried to say something, but couldn't utter a word. The handsome, godlike crown prince had straight, thick eyebrows and cold black eyes. His face was as taut as a noble man's should be, and he reminded one of death itself. He went up to Lady Northern Fong, then stretched out his hands. Lady Northern Fong was baffled at first. What was this about? Fong Sun poked her arm, then winked at her. Lady Northern Fong saw the light right away. Immediately, she put Fong Wu back in Jun Li Nguyen's arms. Everyone watched as Jun Li Nguyen's long robe flapped in the wind. From behind, his back was straight and steady, and reminded them of a god. The crowd automatically parted, creating a path wide enough for the three of them to pass through. The crown prince left with Fong Wu in his arms. Lady Northern Fong and her men marched off valiantly and spiritedly. The spectating guests were all dumbfounded. What? I can't believe what I just saw. His Royal Highness took action. He saved Fong Wu. Not only did His Royal Highness do that, he also left with Fong Wu in his arms. His Royal Highness doesn't like Fong Wu. Says who? If that's the case, would he carry her like that in both arms? Try it yourself. But His Royal Highness could be carrying her away for young Lord Feng's sake. Isn't she young Lord Feng's sister? Why would His Royal Highness voluntarily carry her if the young lord could? Well, is it possible that His Royal Highness actually likes Fong Wu? Impossible. Why? Fong Wu's a really pretty girl. Fong Wu only realized what was going on after they exited the Xianyuan mansion. She gave Jun Linyuan a shove. Put me down now. But Jun Linyuan was way too strong for her. His slender arms seemed to have boundless strength in them. No matter how hard Fong Wu struggled, she couldn't shake him off the least bit. Chapter 1139 He is so beautiful that he makes one want to sin. Jun Linyan was still holding her even after they got into the carriage. Lady Northern Fong and Fong Sun exchanged looks, and the lady was astonished. Watching the carriage drive away with Fong acting as the coachman himself, Lady Northern Fong said, They. Fong Sun nodded. Lady Northern Fong was still in a trance-like state even after they got into their own carriage. This can't be happening. It just can't. Lady Northern Fong rubbed her forehead, which was starting to throb painfully. This is Jun Linyuan we're talking about here. In the Junwu Empire, the name Jun Linyuan was synonymous with transcendence, and was unmatched and omnipotent. Fong Sun rubbed his nose. I didn't believe it myself at first, but... Boss Jun likes her, so what can we do? Lady Northern Fong sounded on edge. What do you mean, what can we do? His Royal Highness isn't a good choice for her. Fong Sun looked at Lady Northern Fong in bewilderment. Mom, are you against it? Lady Northern Fong stared at Fong Sun as if she was looking at an idiot. Of course I am. Don't tell me you like the idea. Fong Sun looked confused. But, Mom, didn't you tell Xiao Wu to get along well with Boss Jun and cherish this great patron? That's not the same thing. Lady Northern Fong was a little agitated. You do know who His Royal Highness is, right? He's going to be our future emperor. Of course he is. Lady Northern Fong went on. I have no doubt that he'll be the most competent emperor, who will lead us into a new and prosperous era. Someone like that will be a great ruler, but not a great husband. Fong Sun glared at her. Why can't Boss Jun be a great husband? Lady Northern Fong snorted and asked grumpily, Tell me, is he going to fill his palace with concubines? Fong Sun said, Well, that's a common thing for emperors, no? Lady Northern Fong said, Yes, it is. So, do you want your sister to spend her life crying in her bedchamber alone until morning? Fong Sun said, Well, don't you think you're thinking a little too far ahead? Lady Northern Fong replied, My silly son, a person without distant care will encounter immediate sorrow. Fong Sun rubbed his nose. But Xiao Wu is a beautiful girl. Lady Northern Feng snorted. Xiao Wu certainly is, but men always want something new, and their love never lasts. Plus, with someone as talented and prominent as Jun Linyuan, women will only throw themselves at him. And there's the Empress Dowager. Do you think she'll stop sending women to Jun Linyuan's bed? Feng Sun rubbed his nose. Lady Northern Feng added, not to mention that Zhuo Qinghuan. Everyone has been going on and on about Zhuo Qinghuan being the perfect match for His Royal Highness. I don't know who started saying it, but the news has been spreading more and more over the years. Feng Sun couldn't agree more. Lady Northern Feng put on a long face. I wonder what Xiao Wu thinks about the whole thing, but she seems quite level-headed. Feng Sun nodded. I thought Xiao Wu was into Boss Jun before, but I was mistaken. Xiao Wu can't get far away from him enough. Lady Northern Feng said, that's the right thing to do. You, hurry up. Huh? Lady Northern Feng pushed Feng Sun out of the carriage. The two of them are alone in that carriage, and that's not appropriate at all. This won't do Xiao Wu's reputation any good if she doesn't want to marry him. So, go ride with them. Quickly. Feng Sun wanted to say no, for Boss Jun was so frightening, he didn't want this job. However, his mother could be just as frightening when she got mad. Feng Sun was conflicted. Meanwhile, in the carriage up ahead, Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan were in a stalemate. Looking up from where she was lying in his arms, Feng Wu could see Jun Linyuan's dark, straight eyebrows, sparkling black eyes, and fair cheeks. He looked as handsome as a god. Chapter 1140 Give It to Me. That face was so tempting and breathtaking. One's resolve would waver just by looking at it. They would forget to say no and be lost in it. No. Feng Wu shoved Jun Linyuan away, then swiftly rolled out of his arms. However, with the blood loss and her exhausted mental power, the result of her action was that with a loud thump, Feng Wu hit the wall of the carriage, which bounced her back into Jun Linyuan's arms. The crown prince had kept his face straight, but seeing this, he snickered, and the smile reached his eyes. Are you playing hard to get now? Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu in an insouciant manner. Feng Wu's cheeks flushed with anger. No, I'm not. Jun Linyuan said, didn't you just throw yourself into my arms? Feng Wu's face turned redder. No. I didn't. I didn't do that. Seeing her squirm around in his arms like a little hamster, Jun Linyuan couldn't help but chuckled again. Outside, Feng, who was driving the carriage, smiled as well. The crown prince had been poker-faced since he was little, and as a strict and serious royal prince, he had never laughed like this before. The crown prince was the same around other people, but when Feng Wu was around, he seemed like a different person, like a real person. Feng looked up at the sky. A flock of white birds flew overhead. The sky was clear and bright, and the air smelled pure and fresh. It was so good to be young. Inside, Feng Wu wasn't aware of Feng's emotions. She was busy glaring at Jun Linyuan with flushed cheeks. Jun Linyuan, on the other hand, crossed his arms and looked very proud. You owe me one. Hearing that, Feng Wu, who had buried her head in Jun Linyuan's arms like an ostrich, looked up instantly at those words and asked in a serious tone, how do I owe you one? Jun Linyuan flicked Feng Wu's forehead with a finger. If I hadn't rescued you in time, you'd already be mentally crippled now. Feng Wu mumbled, I didn't ask you to save me. Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu with a half-smile. So, do you want me to take you back to the Xianyuan mansion? Feng Wu. Jun Linyuan's expression was casual as he looked at her. Feng Wu gritted her teeth and realized that she had to answer that question. She could only snort feebly. Fine. Whatever you say. With her head lowered and the way she bit her lower lip pitifully like a puppy dog, the girl looked especially adorable. The crown prince's big, warm palm was about to land on her head, when she just happened to raise it. Smack! His palm made contact with her head with a crisp sound. Feng Wu covered her head. Why did you hit me? Jun Linyuan was speechless. Ahem. Of course he wouldn't tell her that he had only been about to rub her head. The girl would become too complacent if she knew that. Humph. Why did you hit me? Feng Wu pressed. The crown prince had no choice but to change the subject. Give it to me. He stretched out his hand. What? Feng Wu looked baffled. With his bright black eyes, Jun Linyuan stared at Feng Wu without blinking. That old man's private collection. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. Those were all real treasures, which she had plans for. Ever since she paid those hitmen to kill Zhou Qinglu, she had almost no money left. She was broke. I have no idea what you're talking about. Feng Wu snorted, then looked away. Feng, take us back to the Xianyuan mansion. Leaning against the carriage wall, Jun Linyuan raised his eyebrows slightly. His face was already breathtakingly beautiful, and this expression only added to it. Chapter 1141 So Mad. However, in Feng Wu's eyes, this guy was the most abominable. He was such a boor. Feng carried out all of Jun Linyuan's commands without question. In one swift movement, the carriage turned 180 degrees around on the narrow road. Jun Linyuan was quite capable of doing something like sending Feng Wu back to the Xianyuan family. Feng Wu caught Jun Linyuan's hand right away and gave him a pleading look. Jun Linyuan raised his chin proudly, and his well-defined profile was breathtaking. He glanced at Feng Wu, then raised his voice and complained to the coachman, "Why are we moving so slowly?" Whoosh! Instantly, the carriage picked up speed, as if it had grown wings. Feng Wu grunted, lost her balance, and fell into Jun Linyuan's arms head first. Thump! Her head smashed into Jun Linyuan's chin. Jun Linyuan didn't seem affected at all. Feng Wu, on the other hand, had tears in her eyes from the pain, and kept gasping. But the pain was the last thing on her mind now. Grabbing Jun Linyuan's hand, she said, "Tell Feng to stop now." At this speed, they would reach the Xianyuan mansion in a matter of minutes. However, that arrogant look stayed on Jun Linyuan's godlike, handsome face, and he only glanced at Feng Wu. Feng Wu could only give in. Fine, fine. You want a share of the spoils? You can have it. She then searched her space with her mental power, and realized that all 10 items were real treasures. What else could they be? Old Master Xianyuan had been furious when he realized that they had been stolen. Parting with any of them would break his heart. Feng Wu was at the disadvantage here, however, and she could only take a lamp out, which she handed to Jun Linyuan. It was a corniced lamp with 9 dangling beads. Despite its ordinary appearance, it contained a formation. Holding this lamp, one would always find their way inside any common formation. A rough calculation convinced Feng Wu that this lamp was quite valuable. It was worth 10 houses at least, courtyards included. Yet it was the least valuable of the 10 items, which was why Feng Wu had picked it out for Jun Linyuan. The crown prince only darted an indifferent look at Feng Wu, and couldn't be bothered to take the lamp. Feng Wu could only quietly put the lamp down next to Jun Linyuan. Staring at Feng Wu with his brooding black eyes, Jun Linyuan said in a deep, husky voice, "Is that all?" Feng Wu wanted to say yes, but it didn't take a genius to figure out that losing an item like this wouldn't have driven old Master Xianyuan mad. Gritting her teeth, Feng Wu felt heartbroken over what she had to do, but she had no choice but to take out the second least valuable item. There you go. It was a box of pills. They were top-quality supreme-level breakthrough pills, and there was a whole box of them, which had probably been prepared for the most important children of the Xianyuan clan. Jun Linyuan gestured at her, telling her to put it on the side. Keep going. Feng Wu was so furious that smoke was practically coming out of her ears. Your Royal Highness, you're being greedy here. I only have a few items, and I've already given you 2. You. Jun Linyuan said, Feng, are we taking a walk or what? Instantly, the carriage picked up speed, and cold wind made a whooshing sound in their ears. Feng Wu. All right. I don't like it, but I'll give you another one. Feng Wu took out a third one. However, with the third came the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. Feng Wu kept taking more things out until she was completely pissed. Because there were only 3 items left. The first one was Fallen Star Stone, an essential material for forging the Fallen Star Sword. The second piece was flexible armor made from gold wire. It would be perfect for the beautiful lady. And the third piece was that mysterious stone. Feng Wu had a hunch that it had something to do with the broken star piece. I don't have anything left. I don't. Hand me over to the Xianyuan family if you want. Hopeless, Feng Wu gave up altogether. She glared at Jun Linyuan. Chapter 1142. A sweet scene. Jun Linyuan stared at Feng Wu with his brooding eyes, which reminded one of the starry sky. He didn't blink. His eyes were so bright that they seemed to see through one's deepest secrets. It was impossible to hide anything from him. Feng Wu gritted her teeth. I don't have anything left. You only arrived afterward. Even if we should divide the spoils between us, you're already getting a very big share. Jun Linyuan wouldn't be persuaded. His face was still as good-looking as a god's, but a dark storm was brooding in his eyes. He reached out and let his wide sleeve gently slide over the so-called treasures. Crack, crack, crack. There came the sound of things breaking apart. Feng Wu's eyes widened involuntarily when she saw this. No way. She watched as the treasures that she had forced herself to give away turned to ash as Jun Linyuan's sleeve brushed over them. They were all gone. Every single one of them. Jun Linyuan. Feng Wu stared at Jun Linyuan in disbelief. He had pressed her so hard just then that she thought he wanted his share of the spoils. She had been complaining in her head, but as it turned out, you wastrel. Do you have any idea how much these treasures are worth? You've destroyed them all. All of them. Feng Wu was almost in tears. For she had had plans for quite a few of the items. Some were for Chaoga, and some for Qiuling, Uncle Chiu, and the rest. Jun Linyuan, I'm going to kick your ass. Feng Wu was infuriated. However, his eyes were so frightening. They reminded her of a dark, raging storm as the scent of blood filled the air. One would shiver with fear when they looked at those eyes, and the next thing they knew, they were giving in. Aren't you going to ask me why? Jun Linyuan stared at her. Despite being intimidated, Feng Wu wouldn't let it drop. Why? Jun Linyuan gave off a frightening energy. Put yourself in such a dangerous situation again and there will be consequences. Feng Wu wanted to retort, but she couldn't help but go over the entire incident in her head. Ever since she came up with a plan to get close to the Xianyuan family, she had always been at a disadvantage, yet had taken action anyway. Jun Linyuan's cruel voice rang out in her ears. You wanted information on that second broken star piece, didn't you? Feng Wu gritted her teeth. Jun Linyuan sounded disappointed. Didn't I tell you that I know where it is? Why didn't you come to me? Feng Wu still said nothing. Jun Linyuan jabbed Feng Wu's forehead with a finger. Do you know what kind of person Xianyuan-kun is? He's fought numerous wars and narrowly escaped death more times than you can count. He has more ruthlessness in his little finger than you have in your entire body, and capability-wise, you don't stand a chance. Why would you provoke him? Do you have a death wish? God knew how Jun Linyuan had felt when Feng Sun sent Mu the Sixth to fetch him earlier. His head had gone completely blank, and he almost tripped when he flew toward the Xianyuan mansion. Feng Wu was almost in tears as Jun Linyuan jabbed her forehead, and she stared at Jun Linyuan with a pout. With a stern look on his face, the crown prince scolded her. Do you admit that you were wrong? Feng Wu said, yes. The crown prince said, are you ashamed of yourself or not? Feng Wu said, yes, I am. Jun Linyuan asked, will you do it again? Feng Wu lowered her head and apologized like a little wife. No, I won't. Jun Linyuan grunted. The stubborn girl was always quick to admit her mistakes, but she would repeat them all over again as soon as he turned his head. She never learned. Staring at Jun Linyuan, Feng Wu mumbled quietly, but even if that's the case, you didn't have to destroy all my treasures. They were really expensive stuff. Jun Linyuan rolled his eyes at her. You call them treasures? Feng Wu's eyes lit up. So, you're going to compensate me for my loss, right? Chapter 1143 Is the broken star piece that important to you? Jun Linyuan flicked her forehead with his finger. You money grubber. Feng Wu tugged at his wide sleeve. In order to obtain more benefits for Chaoga and the others, Feng Wu could forget all about her dignity. Getting what she wanted was her priority. Your Royal Highness, you'll compensate me for my loss, won't you? Feng Wu swayed his arm back and forth. Your Royal Highness. Jun Linyuan snorted. Brother Jun, Feng Wu took the hint right away. Jun Linyuan glanced at her, then gave a reluctant grunt. Naturally, Feng Wu wouldn't let such a great opportunity go to waste. She immediately took out that translucent stone and showed it to Jun Linyuan. Your Royal Highness. I mean, Brother Jun, have a look at this stone. Is there anything unusual about it? Jun Linyuan glanced at the stone, then turned his cold gaze to Feng Wu. The look in his eyes reminded one of the night sky, which was a mystery that couldn't be comprehended. Feng Wu looked confused. Jun Linyuan snorted. So, you really did hold something back. Instantly, Feng Wu realized what Jun Linyuan meant, and involuntarily tried to put the stone back into her pocket, but Jun Linyuan moved quickly and took action first as he grabbed the stone. Give it back to me. Feng Wu jumped up, trying to take it back. The stone would lead her to the broken star piece, which was something she cherished more than her own life. She wouldn't let anything happen to the stone. Jun Linyuan raised his hand when Feng Wu jumped at him to grab the stone. Needless to say, she fell right into Jun Linyuan's arms. Feng Wu wanted to stand up, but realized that she was restrained and couldn't get up no matter what. She snapped, Jun Linyuan. Jun Linyuan snorted. Do you want to know the secret of this stone or not? Yes. A wild cat only a moment ago, Feng Wu turned all gentle and tender the next moment. Holding Jun Linyuan's arm, she pleaded, Brother Jun, please tell me. Please. The crown prince shifted, then tapped his left shoulder with his right fist. That was too obvious a hint to be missed. In an obsequious manner, Feng Wu started massaging Jun Linyuan's shoulders. As a supreme-level medicine refiner, Feng Wu had unparalleled skills in identifying pressure points, and was an expert in exerting just the right amount of power. As soon as she started working, Jun Linyuan felt pleased right away. How's that? Does it feel good? Feng Wu asked obsequiously. For the sake of the broken star piece, sucking up to the crown prince was nothing. Jun Linyuan made a vague sound. Not bad. Feng Wu opened a hidden door in the wall of the carriage and pulled out a small square table which had a mini tea stove made from red clay on it. Feng Wu carefully poured a cup of tea, and only handed it to Jun Linyuan when the temperature was right. Your Royal Highness, would you like some tea? Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu. The teenage girl had exquisite features and flushed cheeks. With her eyes lowered like this, she looked so docile. She reminded him of a delicate bud covered with spring morning dew and which gave off a refreshing scent. When she made an effort to play up to someone, she could be very irresistible. How's the tea? It's not too hot, is it? Feng Wu's smile was a little scary in Jun Linyuan's eyes now. Darting a grumpy look at her, Jun Linyuan patted the empty spot next to him. Feng Wu sat next to him right away. What she failed to notice was how close that put her to Jun Linyuan. She looked eagerly at Jun Linyuan, then turned her nervous gaze on the translucent stone. As much as she wanted to ask, she was able to keep her silence. Is the broken star piece that important to you? Jun Linyuan asked all of a sudden. Feng Wu was ready for some explanation from the young master here, but was rendered speechless by the question. The expression on Jun Linyuan's handsome, well-defined face. Chapter 1144 Untitled. Jun Linyuan's eyes in his good-looking face looked like a pair of bottomless pools. Feng Wu was rendered speechless on the spot. Is the broken star piece that important to you? Feng Wu smiled bitterly when she heard the question. Of course the broken star piece was important to her. It was more important than her life. However, she couldn't give him that answer. Jun Linyuan's eyes were so bright and piercing that she wouldn't be able to keep any secrets from him. Involuntarily, Feng Wu looked away, evading the searching look in his eyes. What do you need it for? Jun Linyuan wasn't going to go easy on Feng Wu. His beautiful face was breathtaking, and when he leaned over, he was so close that Feng Wu could feel his hot breath on her face. Feng Wu's cheeks flushed and her ears heated up. She gave Jun Linyuan a little shove and glared at him. Are you going to tell me or not? Jun Linyuan looked slightly disappointed. Intuition told him that it was a very important secret for her, but obviously, she wasn't planning to share it with him. Probably because she didn't trust him enough yet. Deep down, the Crown Prince was a little upset. Feng Wu glanced at the Crown Prince in bewilderment. The guy had looked normal just a moment ago, why did he have a gloomy look on his face all of a sudden? The Crown Prince's temper was so unpredictable. Feng didn't witness the whole thing, but he could sense the atmosphere in the carriage. The old man shook his head with a wry smile. The Crown Prince usually never let his expression reveal anything, but around Feng Wu, his emotions were written all over his face. Feng Wu poked him with a finger. So, what's the deal with this stone? Just say something, please. Jun Linyuan had lost interest altogether. Stuffing the stone back into Feng Wu's hands, he crossed his hands behind his head and wouldn't even look at her. Feng Wu nudged Jun Linyuan, but no matter how hard she tried, the guy wouldn't talk to her. Just then, the sound of a galloping horse quickly approached them from behind. Hearing that, Jun Linyuan frowned a little, then sat back up and straightened his back. A cold voice came from outside the carriage. The owner of the voice then started a conversation with Feng. The voice sent a chill down Feng Wu's spine. How emotionless it sounded. She wondered who the man was. Lifting the curtain up a little, she stole a peek outside. The man rode a big horse and was covered from head to toe in a black robe with a large bamboo rain hat on his head, giving him a mysterious and unapproachable look. His Majesty wants to see His Royal Highness. Now. The man showed Feng a token. It was a color that Feng Wu had never seen before, but she could tell that the atmosphere had turned serious. Involuntarily, she darted a glance at Jun Linyuan. She then saw Jun Linyuan raise the curtain of the carriage as he prepared to leave. Jun Linyuan, Feng Wu tugged at his sleeve and looked anxiously at him. She wondered if Emperor Wu had heard about the incident with old Master Xianyuan, and she was worried that Jun Linyuan would be punished for it. Although the teenager had always struck her as all-powerful, he was still just the crown prince, not the actual emperor. He had crippled the head of an influential family for no obvious reason, and she couldn't imagine how big an impact that would have. If the other influential families joined hands. The more she thought about it, the more worried Feng Wu became. Distress was etched across her face. Jun Linyuan looked back at her. From Feng Wu's perspective, the straight line of his nose bridge was breathtaking. He, on the other hand, found the earnest look on her face rather endearing. Silly girl. June Linyuan looked up and rubbed her head. There was a tenderness in his voice that even he wasn't aware of. Have you forgotten who I am? He was June Linyuan, the omnipotent teenager. June Linyuan left Feng with some instructions after he got out of the carriage. He then summoned his mount and rode off with the man in black. Chapter 1145 Untitled. Feng Wu turned to Feng, looking concerned. His Royal Highness, Feng never blatantly showed off his capability the way June Linyuan did. Since he was known to be June Linyuan's most helpful wingman, Feng would never let such a great opportunity go to waste. He wouldn't be Feng the steward if he didn't do anything now. Sigh, Feng heaved a long sigh. Miss Feng Wu, please sit back down. His Royal Highness has left instructions that I should return you safely to Fallen Star Yard. Feng Wu decided that she wouldn't sit back inside the carriage, and instead took a seat next to Feng. Mr. Feng, that person from just then, is he His Majesty's man? Feng nodded. Is he a very capable cultivator? Feng said, there are always a lot of capable men around His Majesty. Will June Linyuan be all right? After all, June Linyuan had only offended the colossal Xianyuan clan because he had been defending her. Feng said, of course there will be consequences. After all, Old Master Xianyuan had all 4 limbs cut off for no reason. Feng Wu bit her lower lip. But His Majesty is fond of His Royal Highness. Feng sighed. So what if His Majesty is? His Royal Highness lost his temper over a beautiful woman, and what he did frightened a lot of people. What if the other influential families join hands and oppose him? Feng Wu was baffled. Since when did he lose his temper over a beautiful woman? Feng only gave Feng Wu a knowing look and remained silent. Biting her lower lip, Feng Wu was conflicted. She wondered if June Linyuan had really drawn out his sword for her. If it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have injured Old Master Xianyuan so severely. Was he fond of her? No, that couldn't be. Feng Wu was so befuddled that she couldn't think straight anymore. Feng looked at Feng Wu as he drove the carriage. Good. The stubborn girl was finally acknowledging the possibility. The fact that she was conflicted instead of showing indifference was great progress. After all, Rome wasn't built in a day. After returning to Fallen Star Yard, Feng Wu was still absent-minded when she walked in. Miss, are you all right? Qiuling steadied Feng Wu as soon as she saw the latter. If she hadn't acted in time, her mistress would have bumped her head on the doorframe. I'm okay. Feng Wu shook her head. Miss? I need to lie down. But young Master Feng Sun is here. Qiuling looked at Feng Wu. Feng Sun. Feng Wu turned around immediately to see Feng Sun enter the courtyard. He wasn't alone. Lady Northern Feng was with him. Lady Northern Feng looked concerned when she saw Feng Wu, and told Qiuling right away, quickly, help your mistress inside so that she can rest. She lost a lot of blood today, and needs to recover. Instantly, Qiuling was worried sick. She helped Feng Wu lie down, then busied herself with taking care of the latter. Feng Wu half reclined in bed while Lady Northern Feng tucked the duvet tightly around her, fearing that the cold air might get in. Feng Wu smiled wryly. I'm not that fragile. Lady Northern Feng threw a dirty look at Feng Wu. You went through a lot today. You were injured, terrified, and lost a lot of blood. Other girls would have passed out by now. Luckily, you're tougher than they are. Come to think of it, ever since she left home the night before, Feng Wu had been busy. She went to the flying guillotine first, and was recognized by Feng Sun as the ugly girl on her way back, which led to his hot pursuit of her. When she was finally able to take a short break in Northern Feng Mansion, she set out for the birthday party in the Xianyuan Mansion, during which time she was set up and poisoned. One slip and she could have lost her life. Chapter 1146 Untitled. After thinking back to everything that had happened so far, Feng Wu smiled weakly, her face still pale. Luckily, nothing too bad happened. After the others left the room, Lady Northern Feng took Feng Wu's hand in hers, then caressed the girl's forehead with her other hand. It pained her to see Feng Wu like this. Feng Wu smiled bitterly. "Mother, why are you suddenly?" Lady Northern Feng heaved a deep sigh. "Xiao Wu, you have to be honest with me." Feng Wu looked from Feng Sun to Lady Northern Feng. "About what?" Lady Northern Feng asked. "What do you think of His Royal Highness?" A frown appeared on Feng Wu's pale face. "What about His Royal Highness?" Lady Northern Feng was used to being straightforward, so she cut to the chase right away. She asked directly, "His Royal Highness is in love with you, isn't he?" Feng Wu bolted up while Lady Northern Feng was still bent over, and their foreheads smacked into each other. Thump, ouch, covering her forehead, Feng Wu cried out in pain. Lady Northern Feng threw a dirty look at Feng Wu and rubbed her forehead for her. "Are you all right? Does it hurt?" Feng Wu said, "Yes." Lady Northern Feng grunted. "Even I can tell that His Royal Highness is in love with you. Why are you still so agitated?" Feng Wu clenched her fists. "No. He's not in love with me." Lady Northern Feng glanced at Feng Wu. "He really is." "Xiao Wu, stop lying to yourself. I have the sharpest eyes, you know." Feng Wu said, "I." She turned to Feng Sun for help. Hadn't Feng Sun always thought that she was hopelessly in love with Jun Linyuan, while the guy wouldn't even look at her? However, Feng Sun crouched down next to her bed and looked into her eyes. "Xiao Wu, I owe you an apology. I've been so wrong in thinking that you wouldn't leave Boss Jun alone. In fact, it's Boss Jun who has his eye on you." Feng Wu didn't know what to say. What was going on today? Back in the carriage, the way Jun Linyuan spoke to her had been so intimate, which was odd. Then, Feng gave her that little speech outside the carriage. Now, even Lady Northern Feng and Feng Sun were asking her about it. What day was it today? Why did it seem like the whole world was telling her that Jun Linyuan was in love with her? But in fact, Jun Linyuan wasn't even nice to her. He always had mood swings around her, and his temper was so erratic. How could that be a sign that he was in love with her? Feng Wu didn't agree with that conclusion. If she was in love with someone, she would do all she could to take care of him and be there for him. Before she knew it, that handsome, godlike man in his white robe came to mind. "Xiao Wu," Lady Northern Feng's voice woke Feng Wu from her reverie. Taking Feng Wu's hand, Lady Northern Feng said earnestly, "We'll talk about His Royal Highness's feelings for you later. The most important thing is, do you like His Royal Highness or not?" Feng Wu shook her head immediately. "No." Although her reply was expected, Lady Northern Feng still found it hard to understand. His Royal Highness is the most outstanding man of his generation, and the Junwu Empire hasn't seen a young cultivator like him for hundreds of years. Feng Wu smiled bitterly. "I know His Royal Highness is unparalleled in his talent and capability, but I don't have to be in love with him just because he's an outstanding man." "You're so right." Lady Northern Feng held both Feng Wu's hands. She had always thought highly of Feng Wu, and once again, Feng Wu didn't let her down. Plus, His Royal Highness is so popular with girls. His future wife will have such a difficult life. Feng Wu smiled. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.